Okay.
So 3, 2, 1, go.
Hello everybody, this is Pokemon Gold, any percent glitches for the Game Boy Color. Now first of all, we're gonna set our timer real quick. I'm gonna set it a little earlier than I normally would. I'm gonna set it to 5:26. Normally we try to go at like 5:30-ish. That's for a safety later on in the run. Hopefully we won't have to resort to that, but you know, we might have to. We'll see. So we're gonna get some quick introductions. We don't care for all of this text. So we're just gonna move on to naming our character. Gonna give him a one character name just to speed things up a little bit. And with that, we're going right into the game. We don't get to name our rival just yet, unlike every other Pokemon game. We get to do that later though. Mom's gonna have a quick chat with us here. She's gonna ask us what time or what day of the week it is. Now this actually is somewhat important for the run. We want the day to be Sunday for one of the moves we can't otherwise get. Gonna say no on daylight saving time. It saves 4 frames to do that. You know, it's gotta save the frames. And on the question of the Pokegear there, I saved one text box by her not reading the full instructions. So Professor Elm, he's gonna ask us to help him with one of his discoveries, but he doesn't really have, like, somebody close by got or managed to find something really special apparently, but he doesn't have time to get there. Now this is the main safety save that I'm gonna be making early on. We need a starter Pokemon, and I actually can't take every single Totodile possible. I need decent enough stats. First of all, during the naming, I'm gonna check that it's not a female Totodile. If it's a female, I have to reset. It's a 1 in 8 to be female. It's a male, so far so good. We still need decent enough stats. I want to see at least 12 on attack, at least 10 on special, and preferably at least 10 on speed. $20 HP, that's fine. So yeah, that's one that I won't take. The special is not good enough, nor is its attack. So we're gonna give it a second try. This can take a little while before we're gonna get a decent enough Totodile. This is all the way up to red, by the way. Glitchless run ends once we've beaten red. So we're gonna not just do the Johto segment, we're actually going to Kanto, beating the 8 gym leaders there, and then moving on to red. Okay, so, second try. Nope. Not really, it had really bad speed and really poor special. As I said, this is probably the hardest, or the most annoying bit, and this is part of why I decided to give myself a wide estimate, because this can take a little while. The Totodile I'm normally looking for in an actual PB attempt is about a 1 in 12 to show up. I'm a little bit more lenient since it's a marathon. I can take slightly better stats because it will make up for it in the long run. Okay, good HP, that's a start. Hold on. Oh, dude, this is... okay. This is one we can definitely take. So I've got a perfect attack stat. I already know that without even having to do any calculation. I have a 13 on attack, which is the best possible stat there. I know that I have good defense, and I know that I have really good special. The only downside of this Totodile is that my speed is really poor, which can be a bit of a problem later on. So this is so the Sentrets, we'll try to catch one later on. For now, we don't have Pokeballs yet, so we're not gonna bother just yet. We're gonna just slowly make our way to Mr. Pokemon and Professor Oak, who are gonna tell me about this discovery they got. So since we don't have repels here, I need to avoid the grass as much as possible. Average encounters up to Mr. Pokemon is about 4. I think we've only seen 1 so far, so far so good. That's 2. still better than average, so still good. So the reason I needed those stats, you'll see in a little bit that a lot of these things that we're gonna have to fight are not guaranteed to die in one hit if the stats aren't good enough, especially near the end of the game. There's a couple pokes where that can really matter. On the fight against Red, if I have bad attack, I have to use a 3rd X attack, or I just won't kill him. There is in Faulkner's gym, there's a couple ranges if you've got, but you kind of need to get really bad attack for that. But in particular, both the special and attack are gonna come into play during the Team Rocket segment. There's a lot of ranges there, and having this good special and good attack are gonna help me at least up the chances of one-shotting a lot of those Pokemon. Which, on the one hand, means I take less damage, because they don't often get a turn, which is good, and it just saves time, because every turn I save saves 8 seconds. So having a Totodile like this is really helpful. The only downside in the bad speed is, the speed stat is really low, which means that depending on what it's gonna look like later on, I'll know if it's like decently runnable or really, really terrifying. If we get really poor speed, the Rival 2 fight is going to be incredibly dangerous. Hopefully we won't get that. It's about a 50% from this point on. I do already know that I need to buy 1 extra X speed for the end of the game, for the fight against the last gym leader on Kanto. Otherwise I will not be able to outspeed everything. So there's a lot of places like that where that's going to come into play. Okay, I think that was my 4th encounter. Up to Rival 5 is average. So it's looking pretty average so far. Oh, okay. This is worse than average RNG at this point. Unfortunately, we got a little unlucky with the encounters. That is the last tile I can get an encounter on before the Rival. Because we're just going to move over here and avoid the grass. Which adds the bonus of the fact that this tree has a little berry in it. And that berry is going to help with healing a little later on in the run. And with that, we're going to move on to the Rival fight. Now, having bad speed here does actually come into play, because this Chikorita will outspeed me. It's a speed tie, so it's a 50-50 if I have, decent to good speed, which would have been 10 at level 5. But since I don't have that, the Chikorita is guaranteed to be faster. Having good attack, though, should make it that I shouldn't lose this fight. So he growls turn 1, that's a very common move, which is why we counter with Leer. It's very common for pokes to use a status move on turn 1. So yeah, ideally I want to see a miss on one of the tackles, and then we should be good to go. You can see I deal more damage, that's because of that perfect attack stat that we have. But if he crits, it can be somewhat dangerous at this point. Okay, I need him to not crit. Okay, we're fine. It was a 1 in 16 for me to die there, which I could have made up. It wouldn't have been that big a deal, but it would have lost me like a minute and a half. Okay, so what I know from the stats that I just saw is that not only is my attack perfect, my defense is at least above average, and my special is either perfect or the next best stat possible. So it's either perfect or near perfect. Which just means that at least damage-wise, we've got one of the best possible Totodiles here. That high defense is going to come into play later, as it'll help me survive the first gym. I'll be taking significantly less damage because of that high defense, and that's going to make that gym a lot safer. So we're gonna name our rival. We're gonna tell the cop that, you know, the rival is named A because we can. I remember first time playing this, I named the rival question mark, question mark, question mark, because that's what the game told me he was named. I can't be the only one having done that, right?
I didn't do that.
So the assistant, he's gonna give me 5 Pokeballs, and that's pretty much all the Pokeballs I need. There's literally only 2 things I need to catch, and we get 5 balls to do so. First of all, early on in the game, I need to catch a Cut Slave, a Pokemon that could use the move Cut. Ideally, I'd see a Sentret in the grass here, and that would do the trick. If we don't see a Sentret, however, I'm gonna have to hope for a Sandshrew in Union Cave, and if we don't get that, that's where the time comes into play. I can go for a Cut Slave in Elex Forest. During day, it's like a 10% to get something that can learn Cut. During night, it's 90%. Okay, so if this is Sentret, which it's a 50% encounter. Yeah, there we go. So that's really helpful. We're gonna scratch him once to get his health down, make it practically a guaranteed catch.
Apparently there is someone in chat who has done that.
Ah, see, I'm not the only one. Thank God.
It's frustrating, right?
So yeah, we get the Sentret. It's the first poke we need to catch, which means I have got 4 Pokeballs left for the only other thing I need to catch, which is a Poliwag or a Poliwhirl later on in the run. So we get the Pidgey. We don't care for Pidgey. We're going to get a free Fly Slave later, so it's not worth it for me to catch it.
Yes, flying Pokemon are literally fly slaves.
Yeah, for those that hadn't figured it out, we're literally only going to be using 1 Pokemon over the course of the entire game. We're only going to be using Totodile in its evolutions. Every other poke I get has some form of move that it can use, or it can learn, that we need to be able to beat the game. No, Cut. Sentret is Cut. We get Abra for Teleport. We're gonna get Kenya, which is a Spearow for Fly, and Poliwag or Poliwhirl for Whirlpool and Waterfall. And Strength and Surf are gonna be learned by Feraligatr, because Feraligatr is powerful enough.
Makes sense.
Like, both Strength and Surf are really powerful moves, which are, you know, it's fine if we teach that to our main poke. So, in an ideal situation, on the level up here, I'm gonna see 12 on speed. That means we have the best possible remaining speed stat. I kind of need to pay attention to what my health is at right now. 23 max. Okay, so that's either gonna be 25 or 26 when I level up. Now the downside here, much like the Chikorita earlier, this Rattata is now faster than me. On a perfect attack stat, I would have outspeeded him here. On most other stats, we would have been in a tie, so it'd be a coin flip. On the speed stat that I have, he is guaranteed to be faster. Taking a lot of damage from him, which is kind of unfortunate. Okay, can we get the 12 here? It's 11. I figured. That was the higher chance, honestly, and 25. So that eliminates 6 DV speed. Basically, I'm looking for, like, when I'm looking for a speed stat, I'll be talking about DVs. Every stat in the game has a random number attached to it between 0 and 15, 0 being the worst, 15 being the best. My attack is 15, my speed is 0 to 5. So we're gonna get a phone call here from Mom. She's gonna ask us if we want her to save money for us. We kind of need the money ourselves, so let's not have Mom save money up for us.
She tends to be a shopaholic.
Oh yeah, she buys you tons of stuff you absolutely do not need. I do need to use a potion before the next fight. So yeah, there's another berry here. This is a one of its kind for the speedrun. We can only get it here. It's a bitter berry. When equipped, if I were to get confused, it immediately removes the confusion again from me. Unfortunately, it's a one-time use, and there is like 6 trainers that could confuse me. So we just hope to not need it as long as possible. There's one gym that, if we still have it by that point, becomes completely free. Otherwise, I might take a safety save before him. Still very rare to die there, but it has happened before. Not berry. I need to give a berry. So we're giving him a berry because I need that added bit of health. Otherwise, this next fight could become really dangerous. The most dangerous fight in this gym is actually not even the gym leader. It's this first trainer. He has a Spearow, and that Spearow is scary. Luckily, I have really solid defenses, so... Now, once I beat the Spearow, again I'm gonna look at speed, and I would really appreciate it if it's 13 speed, in which case we're still going to be fine. So we're gonna rage this fight, and this is the main reason why we use Totodile over Cyndaquil. Rage is incredibly broken, so every time that I get hit, my base power increases. So he puts us to 7, which is where we're gonna, by default, use the berry. Had I crit there, I would have been able to save the berry. Unfortunately, that's not the case. It's not what I was hoping for. 0 to 4 it is. On 4, we're in a speed tie with the Bayleaf, and that's really scary on its own. If it's lower, we're not even going to outspeed, or we're going to be slower, and that's going to make that fight really, really dangerous. Luckily, it's pretty much only that fight that really becomes a problem because of it. So I'm not going to bother with it too much. I'm just going to save before the fight and hope for the best. Oh, 2 to 3 is a tie. My bad. It's been a while since I've properly run glitchless. I thought 4 was still a tie. So yeah, level 9 is not really going to tell me anything. I pretty much knew all of those stats in advance. Now the next fight though, the Pidgey is gonna tell me how my special stat is looking. I'll know after that fight if I've got perfect special or 1 stat lower. So I'll use that berry. I should be fine on 25. Yeah, we should be fine on 25. He'd need to crit me twice in order to kill me, and with my defenses, I might even be able to tank that. So I'm not gonna worry about this fight too much. So we would need the health, but we're gonna get a level up, which is gonna boost my HP by either 2 or 3 still. So that's gonna put me to 18 or 19. Double 17, so it's the next best stat. We don't have perfect special. So yeah, here you see, like, we're gonna get damaged for 5, and we pretty much 2-shot this, so we win the fight even if he crits. Okay, so we're either slower or we're gonna be speed tying the Bayleaf. We've got 1 or 3 DV speed, which is not ideal, but we can make it work. So he's gonna talk a bunch. We don't care for what he says. We're gonna get Mud Slap off of it though, which is nice for healing later on. And right as we step outside, we're gonna get a call from Professor Elm. So he discovered something about this this discovery we mentioned earlier. It turns out it's a Pokemon egg, and we're, you know, he wants us to do some research for him. So he wants us to pick up the egg. Now we're kinda lazy, so we're not ever actually going to let the egg ever hatch because that'd be slow. I'm gonna keep it with me for a little while, but I'm never gonna give it a chance to actually hatch. Specialist 14 DV. I've got 10, 15, 14, 14, and then 0 or 1 or 3. So every stat is well above average, with the exception of my speed. Like, this is a very decent Totodile, with the one scary bit being the rival. For the marathon, this is gonna be fine.
Just out of curiosity, what's your PB?
3:31:19, which is 3:28 in-game time.
Okay.
So this guy, this is youngster Albert. He can be a jerk. The rat is nothing we have to worry about, but he has a Zubat, and that Zubat has a tendency to hurt a lot. The Zubat has Supersonic, which, you know, means he can get rid of my Bitterberry instantly, and that's gonna give me a really big disadvantage later. He can theoretically kill me, so yeah, there goes my Bitterberry. That's worst case scenario. He does leech life, so we should be fine. Due to my bad speed, I don't outspeed him, unfortunately. Or I'm in a speed tie. I wasn't sure if that was a speed tie. Let's see, 16 on speed. Yeah, it doesn't tell me anything yet. So, because I'm kind of running low on heal items, I'm gonna pick this potion for safety. Interesting little difference between this run and Crystal. In Crystal, that Pokeball right there is a Repel, which makes Union Cave a lot easier. In Crystal, you get a lot less experience in the early game, but over the course of the entire run, it kind of evens out still. Mostly because in this next dungeon, there's a couple trainers that we have to fight that in Crystal either are spinners or are just completely avoidable to begin with. So that guy over there, he's a Rotato. He basically just turns in a set position. There's two kind of trainers like that. We've got the Rotatos, which are easy to dodge, and we've got spinners who move in a random direction and can be a real pain. I'm actually going to save before this first one. If you have Water Gun, this first guy actually isn't that big a deal, but since we don't, I'm gonna try to avoid him. What's my health at? 32. I might actually just give it a shot regardless if he does end up sniping me, but I think he might be stuck. Spinners can get stuck looking in one specific direction, which is really good for us if it's in a direction I don't need to pass, like that one. He was stuck facing up, and basically they're gonna be stuck for like 8 seconds. So that gives me plenty of time to pass. So this guy, he has a bunch of Geodudes. Now, had we had Water Gun already, then, you know, this fight would have been free. Unfortunately, we don't. So we're just gonna have to Rage him and wait for the Rage to build in damage. Luckily, with good defense, there's not really anything we need to worry about. This was my third Totodile, I think? We had a couple resets, but not too many.
I go for it.
Yeah, something like that, which is still pretty decent considering the odds of getting a runnable Totodile. Especially one with perfect attack and near perfect defense and special.
Trade-off.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, unfortunately I can't calculate whether it's 1 or 3 DV speed, so it's going to be a surprise whether we're going to speed tie the Bayleaf later or outspeed. If we speed tie it, I know what the stat is. If we don't see the speed tie, then we'll never know, but it doesn't really matter much. So we hit level 13, and we're going to learn Water Gun here. Water Gun going to be very useful for a lot of fights coming up pretty soon. I'm also going to try to beat some things over the course of this dungeon. Preferably, like, I need about 164 additional experience in order to hit level 30, or hit level 29, and be able to candy to level 30 in time. Now, we could just hope we hit a spinner and get it that way, but spinners are theoretically slower, so if we can avoid them, we're going to just try to avoid them. If I don't manage to find enough here, which from the looks of it I might not, I might risk it if we find an Onyx, but other than that, I'm probably not. Then we're going to try to kill... Yeah, we're not going to. In that case, I'm going to kill the Sudowoodo later, and that gives me the experience I need. That's kind of a backup strat that I can use. The Sudowoodo is a little bit slower to kill, but it's still faster than any spinner. Unless, of course, I fight Benny or something along the way, which is one of the upcoming spinners. Okay, didn't get the burn, that's good. If we get... Oh, and the critical. This Vulpix does not go down in one hit unless it's a critical. So getting really lucky there. So yeah, there are some spinners coming up still, so who knows, we might accidentally hit those. Ideally, we would not, because they would be slow and some of them are actually kind of dangerous. But we'll see what happens. Okay, that's another one passed. So far, so good. And this is actually the moment that I need to start opening up my notes, because we're going to have to do some shopping soon. Nice body block there. So a really important thing in the glitchless run, which makes this run very different at this point than the glitched run, we cannot ever enter that Pokemon Center. If we do, we lose like up to 5 minutes, if not more. There is a huge area that we can skip later on, getting an Abra, but it requires me to not use any Pokemon Centers between the... Come on, dude. Between the first city and the moment we're going to be able to get back there. So we're going to get a bunch of potions here. Now, luckily we can start buying repels here as well. We're going to need 4. Because we're going to be able to buy super repels later, so... By the time we can, we're going to just... We'll have exactly used that last repel. It'll work out really nicely. And we'll enter Slowpoke well. So Team Rocket, they've been terrorizing the Slowpokes here and cutting off their tails. Now, I'm not such a big fan of Team Rocket cutting off tails. That doesn't sound like a very good idea. So we might want to try to protect those Slowpoke. So we're starting off with a couple of these rats. They have Tail Whip and Quick Attack. Now, usually what they do is they Tail Whip first and then start spamming Quick Attacks. He did not Tail Whip, surprisingly. So I guess this is fine, especially if I get a Tail Whip from this one. It's unlikely, but it could happen. Okay, he just spams Tackle. Usually they're slower, but, you know, bad speed. So, unfortunately, they get to outspeed me. Gonna use that potion here. So having the good special stat, these become a range. Let's see how this fight will play out. We have a really good special stat, so we can get lucky. If you have bad special, this usually takes a turn or two more. So let's see. Really nice first roll. The supersonic missed. This would have been one of the fights where we could have had to use the Bitterberry had we still had it. Now the Ekans can be a little trolly as well. He's got Wrap, and he's got Poison Sting. And Poison Sting can poison me, causing me to have to do an extra menu. He's missing everything though, which is really good. So if this doesn't poison, this is a good fight. Yeah, this is a really solid fight. Let's go. On this health, I don't even need to heal before the next fight either, so... works out really nicely. We're gonna pick up the Super Potion just for some added safety. And we're moving on to this guy. Now this guy, again, has a good couple Zubats. So again, confusion does come into play here. The rat does not go down with any move unless you get a critical. Same goes for Water Gun. No matter the stat, you need a crit to kill him. So, unfortunately, we did not. Now, these Zubats luckily are a 2-shot, so they're a little bit more easy. And the first one does leech life, that's a good start. If the first one confuses you, you're pretty much going to have to beat through confusion 3 hits in a row, which can be really painful to have to do. And the second Zubat doesn't get the supersonic off, so we're gonna be fine. That means we can just move on. There's one more fight, and I don't actually even need to heal for it. So there's one trainer left here. He has a Coughing. The Coughing does take a few hits to go down, but he doesn't deal that much damage unless he starts critting or poisoning me. Not to mention, all of the moves he uses are not 100% accurate, so it's not uncommon for him to actually miss a move. Ideally, I just want to see him not poisoning me turn 1. He misses. Cool. See, this is what I'm talking about. I think Smog is like 80% to hit or something, if not less. It seems less from what I'm getting usually. I'm not going to worry about my health here because there is a mandatory heal coming up right after this fight. That's Team Rocket done. And with that, we can finally start moving on to the next gym. Kurt, he's going to walk in, he's going to check on the Slowpokes, and he's going to give us a mandatory heal. This is one of a few mandatory heals over the course of the game that we're going to abuse to skip centers as much as possible. Basically, we're only going to really use a Pokemon Center, technically, one more time in the run. There is also a heal house which we use, so I guess you could say we're going to use 2 of them. But assuming everything works out, we only really need to use the center once after this point. So this is a really interesting trainer. So in Gen 2, they started introducing these twin encounters. And depending on which one I encounter first, that determines which order they're going to send out their Pokemon. So had I interacted with the right one, I would have had the Ladybug first and then the Spinarak. Had I had my Bitterberry, I would have gone for that, but without a Bitterberry, it's safer to take the Spinarak first. The problem is the Ladybug has Supersonic, which can confuse me, but the Spinarak does have Scary Face and String Shot, which can slow me down, so that'll be slower than the Ladybug. Basically, the fight I just got was a perfect fight. I got the misses that I needed to get the fastest outcome. So now he's just gonna outspeed me with his Weedle as well, which is generally fine. We just want to not get poisoned. I'm going to use my one remaining berry between, or just before Bugsy most likely anyway, so it doesn't really matter if I take some damage. I'm using that one to kind of clear up my inventory, give me fewer scrolling, and it's the cheapest heal to use. So yeah, this is another spinner. He got stuck unfortunately, so I'm gonna walk off the screen to reload his sprite. Oh, okay, that was awkward, but it worked out. That was a really awkward setup, by the way. You're not supposed to pause buffer there. You're supposed to pause buffer one tile earlier, but he got stuck to the right this time, so it's all good. I'm gonna take a safety save, because this is one of the more deadly fights in the game. Basically, the next 15 to 20 minutes have the most dangerous fights in the run, with the exception of the final fight in the game. So this is Bugsy. You know, he's not... His first two pokes are generally not that scary. He's got a Metapod and a Kakuna, but he finishes off with a Scyther, and if I don't deal enough damage, if I don't get a chance to build my Rage properly, because, for example, I get that crit there, that could become an issue later on. Okay, I want to see Tackle. There we go. So I'm gonna pray for the Kakuna to use 2 Poison Stings and not actually poisoning me. It can be scary if he ends up poisoning me, but if he doesn't, we should be fine. Harden turn 1, that's what he usually does. So there's the first Poison Sting. Didn't get the poison yet, so far so good. Didn't get poisoned. We've got a +3 on Rage, so we should win. So yeah, this is the Scyther. This is basically the scary one. The Fury Cutter, similar to Rage, builds up every turn. So if he gets an additional 1 off, that could be really scary. But we should kill. Yeah, there we go. Now I've got a really important strat coming up here. We hit level 18 just now, which means Totodile is finally going to evolve. The strat for this is don't press any buttons, because if you cancel this evolution, you're gonna have to grind to level 19. You need Croconaw for this next fight. It's practically unwinnable if you don't have that evolution. There we go.
Alright, nice strat.
It's a good strat. It's a good strat. So yeah, Bugsy here, he's gonna give us Fury Cutter, and Fury Cutter is gonna be a very important move for some of the upcoming fights. You'll see why in a little bit. So I'm gonna need to take that safety save before the next fight, because I am at the in the very best scenario, I'm gonna be in a speed tie with the most scary Pokemon in the game, pretty much. So we'll see how it turns out. It's also turned night, exactly when I wanted it to. I wanted to be night for the forest, just in case I hadn't had a cut slave yet, so I could have caught it in the forest. Gonna give him the Paracure Berry. Gonna teach Fury Cutter here. Gonna teach it over Rage, or over Leer. We don't need Leer anymore. Take that safety save, because we are going to need this. And we're gonna have to pray to get lucky here, honestly. This is probably the scariest fight in the game if you have really low speed. It's, like, at best, the second worst fight of the game. Like, it's a close call between this guy and the final fight, so... This should be interesting. The Ghastly is pretty much free. We can kill the Ghastly, no problem. He can use Hypnosis or Parami. Kinda sucks to lose the Paracure Berry this early, because there's 2 more fights where it does add some safety if we had still had it. But other than that, it's fine. And now for the most scary Pokemon in the game. I'm gonna need Poison Powder or Protect turn 1, or it's pretty much a reset here. I'm not gonna give up just yet. Oh, okay, so it's a speed tie, so we've got 3 DV speed. If he doesn't crit and I win the speed tie, we win. It's a... Okay, we win. We win. That is a really awkward victory there, but we win. So luckily we got 3 DV speed, so we were in a speed tie. I had to rely on a coin toss there. I was supposed to go for water gun, but this should work out. Water gun should kill from there, no problem. Oh! Oh! I knew a crit wouldn't kill, so I knew I could take that bet pretty safely.
Shoutouts to the crocodile.
So yeah, that was probably my least favorite fight in the game, and at the very best, the second deadliest fight in the game. If not the deadliest at that. So getting that first try with this Totodile is really good.
It's definitely the most clutch fight.
It's a really, yeah, definitely.
Wow.
So yeah, we're gonna super that, because I am not taking that risk, and we're gonna use the repel slightly early here. You'll see why in a little bit. That has a really good reason. And we're gonna have to do a little bit of a side quest here. So this guy, he's lost a Farfetch'd, and without a Farfetch'd, he can't get cut through trees, which they need to make charcoal, which they then sell. So he's kind of worried that his boss is gonna come after him, so he asks us to help him find the Farfetch'd, or rather, he doesn't ask because we don't ever actually talk to him, but it's almost as if he's asking. We could go around to the right, which is technically a little bit faster, but the repel works out better this way, so it's worth it to do it in this order. It works out exactly, assuming I don't take any additional steps.
It's really stupid. They expanded the Farfetch quest in the remakes of Pokemon Gold, actually.
They have a different Farfetch quest.
Yeah.
They changed it, but yeah.
And they added the second Farfetch, actually.
True, they did. So yeah, we're gonna get cut, and my repel is gonna wear out exactly there. So I'm gonna be in my menu. I can repel right off the bat, and then teach cut from here. This is why we want the repel to wear out exactly there, because this menu just works out really well, and it saves me having to open up the menu an extra time. I'm gonna take some safety items. I'm gonna take the full heal over here. I still have my full heal, so I could have gone without, but considering I had that lost my para cure, not gonna take the risk. There's a super potion over here that we're gonna grab. Just all to add to the safety of it. I should have enough heal items, but you know, you never know what this game is gonna throw at you. And we're gonna go around to get Headbutt. Basically, Headbutt is just the upgraded version of Scratch. It's got like twice the amount of damage. Not to mention, it has I believe a 30% chance to flinch the enemy, which can be very helpful later on as well. Repel. So we have one repel left, and we're gonna use that one later. So I'm gonna have to save it. I might have to YOLO like 2 tiles of grass, because I want to have this ether as well. Generally, I shouldn't need to pick up that ether, but it might help me skip a center in case I messed up the PP management at some point. The second half of the run, the PP management is incredibly tight, like one wrong move and you're off. So just in case I make a mistake somewhere, I have that ether in the back. So yeah, I'm gonna have to YOLO 2 tiles here. There's a trainer on the right there that I would have otherwise hit. So I didn't get an encounter, luckily. And that gets us to Goldenrod City, and this is actually the city where the glitched run ends. But obviously in glitchless, we're gonna continue a little bit further. So first and foremost, let us get the bike so we can move around a little faster. Now, one really nice thing about the gold compared to red and blue is that the bike can be selected, so I can use my select key to just use the bike instantly. So I don't have to open up the menu every time I want to get on the bike. We're going to teach Headbutt first, though. I need to be very careful not to teach it to Sentret. Your cursor is on Sentret by default because of Cut, and if you teach it to Sentret, you're in trouble. Gonna select the bike and just use it from the menu there. Now we're gonna get our third Pokemon right over here. I'm gonna take a bit of a sidetrack here to get him first, just so that I know that I can't forget him anymore. So he asks us if we can deliver a Pokemon to his chubby friend who's snoozing on Route 31. And it happens to be a Spearow, which means we can use that Spearow as a fly slave. We're not gonna deliver it to his friend, because we're speedrunners and that'd be slow. But this does help us not having to actually catch any Pokemon. And with that, we're going to Whitney's gym, and this has the third, and probably last for a while, really dangerous fight. Not this girl. Her Snubble is easy. But Whitney, I mean, you guys may all remember Whitney. If you've ever played this game, you probably know who I'm talking about.
Pain.
Whitney is a pain. The thing is, not for the reason most of you might think she is. A lot of people consider her a problem because of the Miltank. In the speedrun, though, we don't really care for the Miltank. We're scared of the Clefairy. Reason for that being that the Clefairy has Metronome, and Metronome can screw us over in so many ways. It can paralyze me, it can put me to sleep, it can do some stupid move because of which it just kills us if it uses Thunder or something. Just to name a couple things that could screw me over here. Not to mention, I'm relying on a move with 95% accuracy not to miss. If I miss it near the end of the fight, that will become a problem as well, and I'd have to reset the fight. So here comes Whitney, the third gym of the game. And probably the gym that walled most casual players on their first playthrough. So this is the Clefairy, this is the scary one. We're going to be using Fury Cutter here. There's two strats for this fight. You can Rage and you can Fury Cutter. Both are about the same odds to win. The reason I prefer Fury Cutter is because generally if you win with Fury Cutter, you're somewhat higher in health by the end of it. Okay, didn't get the para from the Dragon Breath, so that's good. If I don't miss the next Fury Cutter, we should win the fight. So it's 95% to win at this point. If we miss, it's just over. We can't win. So here is that dreaded Miltank. Oh, Stomp. If this is a flinch, that's actually very rare. 9 out of 10 fights, the Miltank will use Rollout, which is why we would instantly win the fight. It does, however, also happen to have Attract, which I've only seen 3 times in a run. And it has Stomp, which is somewhat rare as well. Stomp is fine as long as we don't get the flinch. Unfortunately, we got the flinch, so we have to... Basically, because of the flinch, I didn't get the Fury Cutter of that turn, which sets its power back to 1. Like, I'd have a Stage 1 Fury Cutter, and you can see how much damage Stage 1 deals on the Clefairy, let alone the Miltank. Now, because I don't have the experience that I wanted, that I mentioned earlier that I wanted to get, we're going to be slightly under-leveled for the next fight, so I'm going to get Bite slightly late. That doesn't necessarily matter a lot, but it can slow down the next trainer a little bit. See, there's Rollout. Now we have a 95% to win. And the one-shot. See, this is how easy the Miltank is. That is actually a very rare one-shot, by the way. That's also only happened like 3 times that I've ever seen. You need near-perfect attack, if I'm not mistaken. Might be special as well. The special attack cut in this game is weird. But you need a near-perfect stat, and you need to get pretty much a max roll there. So yeah, having the badge, we can start using Strength outside of battle. We also get the TM Attract, which, you know, is completely pointless for the speedrun, because half the pokes we wouldn't even be able to affect, and we're going to one-shot most things anyway. But we can sell it for a bunch of money, and that's still going to be helpful. I need to actually make sure I have my shopping menu up. So there's a couple things we're going to do now before we're going to move on to the next gym. First of all, I'm going to get the Squirt Bottle in order to get past the Sudowoodo. Now, this is one of the parts where Gold is a lot faster than Crystal. In Crystal, you actually have to move up all the way to the Sudowoodo, talk to a girl, move back down here, and then move up later again back to this to actually get to the Sudowoodo. In gold, we're gonna get Abra and just completely skip that segment and mostly just completely skip a bunch of spinners. There's about 11 of those spinning trainers in the speedrun. That used to be 14, so we skipped like 3 of them or something. I think it brought it back from 14 to 11. I might be 1 or 2 off there though. So we have Headbutt. Headbutt is a range, sadly. This is gonna give me the extra text box. Rage would have probably been better. But yeah, we're gonna get level 21. Now we get to learn Bite. Had I had the experience already, we would have had Bite before this fight, and with Bite, it's a guaranteed one-shot. The second one is a guaranteed one-shot though, so no big deal. And we're gonna do this trainer as well. This looks like an optional trainer, but at some point in the run we're going to have to fight him anyway, so we might as well do it now and get the extra experience. This trainer is mostly there just for experience management, and the fact that we need to do that anyway, so it works out both with the PP and the experience. Just both work out a lot nicer this way. Having this, I only need 164 experience before getting that rare candy to get me to level 30, and it saves me 4 moves later on when I'm doing this segment again, or when I get back here to do the underground. So I figure, you know, we might as well get it out of the way, save that 4 PP for later, because their PP management is incredibly tight, and just get that boosted experience, just get that little bit of extra EXP. So that's Crrool. Now the main reason we're here though is to get this. Now glitched runners have to get the coin case as well because that's what they use to set up the glitch. We're not going to use it for the glitch, we're just going to use it to buy an Abra. Gonna get that safety super potion again. That's the last safety potion I'll pick up for a while. There is a hyper later that I can pick up, but I'm probably gonna skip it considering how many heal items I still have. So let's do some gambling. We need 200 coins. Good gambling, guys. We've got 200 coins. Let's go buy that Abra. So we're not going to nickname it, and I'm going to try to buy another one. The reason for that is she only tells us, sorry, you don't have enough coins, and that closes the text box. If I cancel out of it, it actually gives me 2 text boxes, so I save 1 text box by doing that. And with that, we're gonna do a next bit of shopping. Just gonna make sure that I don't forget anything here. I should know this by heart. 1 speed, 1 special. I could go for 1 attack, but considering the fact that it's a marathon, it's probably safer to do 2. We're gonna buy 5 escape ropes. Oh, right, I was wondering why my money was so low. We actually need to sell these 2, or we don't have the money for it. Whoops. Attempt number 2, we're gonna buy 5 escape ropes. There we go. I'm gonna get 1 more full heal because we might as well. I'm gonna get the Pokédoll. The Pokédoll is to skip a fight later on that we would otherwise have to kill or catch. It's a random poke we can't run away from. And now that we have everything, we can use teleport and move back to Violet City. This is why I had to not enter any Pokemon centers. Now we still have that egg, and like I said, we're not really going to be using any other centers after this one, because this is that one other time we're actually going to enter a center. So I'm going to deposit both, because that actually heals my poke to full. Can immediately withdraw him, drop off the egg. This ends up being faster than actually watching the cutscene to hatch the egg. Gonna switch him back to the front, get on my bike, and off to Sudowoodo. So, considering I didn't get any additional experience, I'm gonna kill the Sudowoodo. It's slightly slower than the ideal situation, but it's still the best bet to take at this point in the run. There is one more spinner, and there is one situation left that would be better, but it's an incredibly rare situation, and we don't want to have to fight the spinner. In a perfect scenario, I'd get a Growlithe in the 4 tiles of grass that I need to YOLO, and if I get that Growlithe, I would kill that. It'd be a 2-shot, and which should save 1 turn. But the 8 seconds aren't worth it, considering it's literally 4 tiles of grass, and I'm relying on like a 20% encounter. Oh, let's not fight those. So coming up on this guy, he has 1 Drowsy. There's a couple things I can do here to get through this fight quick. I can either use Headbutt or Bite. I'm gonna start with Bite to save some Headbutt PP, because that PP is pretty tight. The downside is I do get an extra text box, so that's kind of unfortunate, and he is a range with Bite. Didn't get the best possible roll, so I'm gonna Headbutt on turn 2 to guarantee a kill. So I saved 1 Headbutt there. Over the course of these couple fights, I need to save a couple Headbutts, so we do get an encounter. It's not the Growlithe, so it was the right call after all. Standler is not worth it to get the experience from. And with that, we're going to move on to Ecruteak City, and we're going to go to these Kimono Girls. You know, we not only do these... we have to fight all of these 5 in order to get Surf later on. And, you know, Surf is going to be probably our most overpowered move for the next gym, so we kind of want to get that as soon as possible. On top of that, the Kimono Girls give a lot of experience and a lot of money, which is actually really helpful. Got the Flinge there, really good. The Flareon can die in 1 hit, but you need a critical for that to happen. I'm going to use 1 potion before the next fight. Had I had really good speed, I would have gone for one of the other pokes first, so that I would outspeed this fight. Basically, I would have tried to get level 24 before, which means fighting the 2 rightmost trainers and then fighting these 2, so I would outspeed the Espeon and the Umbreon. But with this speed, that's not going to happen anyway, so no need to worry about it. Okay, gonna save PP and use Bite here, because I couldn't do that on the Drowsy earlier. Again, loses me 1 text box, but saves me another Headbutt. Okay, so this next fight is actually one of the more trolly ones. This is, again, one of the fights we're gonna use Fury Cutter on. This is the last fight we need to do that. The problem here is the Umbreon has Sand Attack, and Fury Cutter, already being a 95% accurate move, could really screw me over. So let's see what we're gonna get. Tail Whip is really good. It's a 3-shot with Fury Cutter. Pursuit, it's 95% to kill on the next turn. There we go. Perfect fight. Now the next one, the Vaporeon, isn't too scary at all. We're just gonna Headbutt the Vaporeon, and it should be an easy fight. So here we go, Vaporeon. Now, after this fight, I do need to heal to full, and I'm gonna take 1 safety save again, because this next trainer, she has a Jolteon, and the Jolteon is gonna be faster than me. If he gets a crit off, that can be very scary, as well as if he gets a paralysis off, that could be a really big issue. This is one of the 2 fights where having the Paracure Berry would save me some trouble. I need to be at least on 45 45 or above 45 health to guarantee that I can win the fight if he doesn't get a crit. We were not at that health to begin with, so I might as well heal to full and safe. So yeah, here's the only scary kimono girl in the sense if it can actually kill me. It's very rare, but it can happen. You'll see the damage Thundershock does there. I should be able to kill this with Bite actually, save another headbutt. That was a minor risk that I took, but considering the roll, I was fairly certain that that should have killed, so it worked out really nicely. And with all of that out of the way, we're gonna get Surf and move on to the next gym. So Surf is going to be one of our main moves over the course of the run. With 90 base power, it's incredibly powerful. And the fact that we're also going to get Stab off of it, meaning same type attack bonus. So we get an added like 25% damage or something because it's the same type. Not really sure how much gets added, but it's a good bit. It just helps dealing a lot of damage here. Gonna get into Morty's gym. Yeah, in this run in particular, Gold has got incredibly precise PP management, but a lot of the Pokemon runs do, actually. It usually works out in such a way that by the end of a certain segment, you'll have either like 0 or 1 PP left on most moves. Red has that in that it has 1 Earthquake left and 0 Horn Drill by the end. By the time we're gonna get we're gonna start entering Kanto, we'll have 0 PP on almost every move. So we're gonna serve these Ghastlies. Back in a very old route, we used to get Ice Punch early, and we'd Ice Punch these Ghastlies. It saves about 15 seconds not to get it yet, so we're gonna try to just avoid that if we can. And the PP works out that we can actually realistically afford to not do that. Now there is actually one trainer in this gym that we can skip, so we're gonna do just that. This is a really neat little skip. That honestly I never knew of as a kid. I never knew you could skip that second trainer. So this guy, he's got a Haunter. Now ideally I'd have the Haunter is going to outspeed me because of the bad speed. On really good speed you can outspeed him. So ideally I wanted him to use Curse. Because basically the Curse would have guaranteed a win right off the bat. He does end up using the Curse, killing himself in the process, and that makes us win the fight. Curse is a move where he cuts his own health in half, but as a result I take 25% damage every single turn. And that gets us to the last fight, Martha. Martha is kind of similar to the last fight. It does have that Haunter again. The only difference is, because our special is as good as it is, we can surf the Haunter and kill it 1 turn faster. If we had less than 11 DV speed, so less than 11 out of 15, we would have gone for a Bite instead, with the hopes of getting the flinch. We get the range. That is a very rare range to get, and the para. This is really unfortunate. We should be fine though. I'm gonna heal before the next fight just to play it safe. This is why I wanted to pick up that extra full heal earlier, just in case one of these Ghastlies or something decided to troll. Level 27. And with that, we're gonna move on to the 4th gym leader. That almost gets us through the scary part of the run. Once we've beaten the 5th gym leader, the most scary bit is pretty much just done. And there isn't a whole lot left that can kill us. So, using that super potion for 9 health, taking the safety save because I know Morty can paralyze me, and paralyzation would really troll me here. So,
Just wanted to say, yes, Rowan, it ends at red.
yes, we do go all the way up to red. So this is Morty. Now we're gonna have to set up for this fight a little bit. Basically, I'm gonna use the X Special and X Speed that I bought earlier here. The speed makes sure that I outspeed the Gengar later. He uses Curse, which is completely fine. He usually uses that turn 1. And the special is going to guarantee most pokes being a one-shot, the only exception being his Gengar. If he doesn't paralyze, we win. Should have Water Gunned, honestly, to save a Surf PP, but this'll work out. So the Haunter, it's going to be a one-shot. We do take 25% damage at the end of every turn, unless we killed one of his pokes that turn. So odds are we're gonna get that this turn. So it's a one-shot with a crit, and we have a 30% chance to flinch him. He gets the hypnosis off, but doesn't actually hit, so we're completely fine. It would have been fine as well if he got it off. It just means that it'd be lower on health. We get to learn Scary Face, which we really don't want to get. Let's be fair here. A speed dropping move when we one-shot almost everything is not really going to help us much. In the last Surf. So that gets Morty out of the way, and that's one scary gym left, at least for the next 2 hours or so. We've got one more fight that I'm scared of over the course of the next 2 hours, so for now, like, from here on, it's pretty much smooth sailing. There's one little bit that can be scary, but it's very rare for it actually to become scary. I'm gonna take that tile so that we just teleport away. And we're gonna get into a bit of an RNG section here. I'm gonna need to catch my final Pokemon. As mentioned earlier, I want one more poke. This is where we're gonna catch it. I'm gonna pick up this Hyper Potion in the process, I might as well. It's right there anyway. So ideally, I want to see a level 15 Poliwag, level 15 or level 17. If it's higher leveled, it's fine, but it loses a bit of time. 16 works out as well. Gonna Water Gun that, just to make sure I don't deal too much damage. This is the reason we get it very early, just the fact that I can actually damage it. You can get it later on, which works out just as well. But you can't damage it, so the odds of actually catching it is a lot lower. Now, the advantage of having a level 16 Poliwag, we're going to need to teach him Whirlpool and Waterfall, but he only has 3 moves, so we skip a good couple text boxes because of its low level. Had it been a higher level one, he would have had 4 moves, and I would have gotten like 8 extra text boxes. So this is where we use our last Repel. And I think I'm going to use that Super Potion. This is our entire party for the rest of the game, by the way. The only thing that's still going to change is that Croconaw is still going to evolve. Other than that, we have our final team. Now, if I move perfectly over the course of this segment, my Repel is going to wear out exactly as in front of the Mart. Works out really nicely. If I take one extra step, it doesn't, and it runs out earlier. It doesn't really matter, but it kind of tells me how my movement was, and because of it, I know when I need to start mashing for the Repel. So yeah, works out exactly there. I'm gonna buy 4 of these, 4 Super Potions, just for some added healing. And we're gonna buy 7 Super Repels. That's pretty much all the Super Repels I'll need until the point that we can start buying Max Repels. We do not have the money to buy enough Repels for the entire game, so we're gonna buy some Max Repels near the end. And with that, we're gonna climb up the lighthouse. Now, if we had been talking to NPCs, somebody would have mentioned that on top of the lighthouse there is this Ampharos, and he's really sick. The rival just mentioned that the gym leader is not in the gym. She's actually taking care of this sick Ampharos. So we're gonna meet up with the gym leader because we're gonna have to fight her eventually. I've got 8 headbutts. That's actually pretty good. Kind of tight on Surf PP. It works out well if I don't hit the next spinner. If I do, it's kind of an issue.
You have an ether, I think.
Come again?
You have an ether.
Yeah, I have that spare ether, but this is not what I want to use it on. But I would have that ether, so that would be a backup that I could use. Another thing is these Growliths. I can headbutt them. Basically, after this fight, ideally I want to have 5 headbutts left. In that case, it works out exactly. So I want to make if I have 4 left, I can make it work. Because I can just bite on the next fight. But it looks like I actually have exactly the amount of headbutts that I wanted. So I might actually be able to save one. We don't actually need it. At least 12 frames doing so. So this girl, she has a Meryl. The Meryl is it's a pretty easy fight. Now normally I'm so short on headbutts here that I use 1 headbutt and then use bite, which does kill the Meryl, so it would work out. But because I have to switch moves, it's a little bit slower than just spamming headbutt. Because I still have 5 left somehow, it actually works out exactly, and I don't need to do that. So I can just keep spamming the headbutts. The 3 I want to keep in the back are mainly as a safety in case I hit one of the upcoming spinners. This is where I needed to hit level 29, by the way. It's after this trainer that I wanted to hit level 29. Because we're going to pick up a rare candy. There's 1 spinner we're going to have to pass before then. But after that, we're picking up a rare candy, which is going to get us to level 30, which means we're going to evolve into Feraligatr. Okay. So she is not going to fight us, because she's going to ask us to get some medicine from a pharmacy all the way over in Cianwood. Which I guess, I mean, we don't really have a choice here. I'm going to pick up this this rare candy. And it's time to do a little bit of menuing here. So first off, I'm going to use that rare candy and start evolving into Feraligatr. Same strat as before, do not touch any buttons. So yeah, the upside of having the Totodile is that it's the first of any starter to evolve in its final form. So I'm going to move my repels up and immediately use one, and then we're just going to escape rope out, because we're pretty much done here. Now before we're actually going to Cianwood, we're going to get the next HM. We're going to get Strength here. Strength is one of the 4 final moves that we're going to get. We have Surf already. Strength is the second one. We're going to teach it by the time we actually get to this next gym, because we don't need it before then. And there is this 1 spinner in the way still. Just in case I get a range somewhere, I can use Water Gun as a backup. We're going to get rid of Water Gun soon. It's pretty much outlived its use now that we have Surf. So there's another spinner over here. This is Kaylee. I actually hit her in my PB. So let's hope she doesn't. Now you might notice that even though she's not looking my way, I'm still not passing. And that's because there is actually a pattern to how those spinners move. If they look to the left, it's got a high chance of moving to the or looking up next. If it's moving, the same with up, moving and looking to the left. And in the same way, right and down are tied. So that's where my repel wears out. I'm gonna teach Strength real quick. So again, PP being incredibly tight here, we have actually get exactly the amount of strength PP that we need before the next mandatory heal. We don't have any spare. And with that, we're gonna beat up some trainers here so that we can get the Chuck. As I mentioned, Chuck is the last really scary fight of the game up until we get to Red. So all of these are 2 shots basically, unless I get a critical. He got the critical, unfortunately. That's not really what I was hoping for. We're gonna have to heal at some point anyway, so it doesn't matter that much. Now the Hitmonchan can actually be a really awkward fight, or poke to have to fight. He has different kind of punches. He's got Ice Punch, Fire Punch, Thunder Punch. Thunder Punch being kind of scary because of how much damage it does. Ice Punch kind of scary because it can freeze me, which forces me to have to use a full heal. This fight can just be trolly sometimes. Usually he does something like Comet Punch and we're fine, but on occasion he can be annoying. Okay, 2 trainers left in the gym before we get to the next gym leader. So this is Black Belt Knob. He leads with a Machop, and for the purpose of PP management, we're just gonna surf this guy. We have the surfs, we don't really have the strength to spare, so we might as well go for surf here. The Machoke unfortunately doesn't die to that, so we're gonna use strength on him. Okay, that's 3 down, 1 to go. Now we're gonna get a quote-unquote puzzle here. It's kind of the first sort of puzzle the game throws at you, and if you don't sidetrack anywhere. There's gonna be some pretty interesting ones later on once we get to Ice Path, but like it's really not too interesting here. So this guy, he's got 3 pokes, he's got 2 Mankeys, which all die to 1 strength, and then he's got a Primate, for which we need 2 strength. We could, of course, get lucky and get the crit and not need to worry about him, but it's pretty unlikely. Unfortunately, okay, 2-turn Fury Swipes is good. Had he gone with more, I probably would have used 2 Super Potions. Now that he only did, like, it was only a 2, so I can probably live with just 1 Super Potion. That puts me on 99 health, which is plenty for this fight. Had I had a bad HP value, my maximum could have potentially been lower than 99 at this point anyway. Taking probably my last safety save for a while. Just in the off chance something bad happens. So basically, in order for this fight to actually become a problem, what he needs to do is so the first poke we one-shot it after we've used 2 X attacks, and there's not much he can do. But then he has a Poliwrath, which has Dynamic Punch, which is a 50% for him to, it's roughly 50% for him to use it. And if he uses it, it's 50% to hit. If it does actually hit, so roughly 25% at this point, it confuses me. If I then hit myself into confusion, so 12.5% chance for that to happen, I could be in trouble. I actually get yet another chance, and I'd have to hit myself in confusion again, unless he does a second Dynamic Punch and hits 2 times. It's incredibly unlikely to die here, but it's happened to me once. Back then I had a revive in my bag, and that run did end up PBing somehow, which actually was my PB for like a year. Mind Breather is the most likely move for him to use. So we kill off the Poliwrath, and that pretty much gets all the deadly fights out of the way. from here on, the run is going to be smooth sailing for a while. Except for the problem that PP management is incredibly tight, but... So we do, as long as we use the correct moves everywhere, we've got nothing to fear. So he's going to give us Dynamic Punch, but obviously we don't want to have a 50% accurate move. Not to mention it's only got like 5 PP, so it just doesn't work out in any way. I'm going to talk to Chuck's wife here. She's going to give us the Fly HM. So we can start flying around the map. Before we do though, we kind of came here to get a heal item for this Ampharos, the secret potion. So let's get that out of the way as well. Now we could go back to the lighthouse and finish that up. Whoops. But we're actually going to do a bunch of side questing before that. Super Repel. We'll teach Fly to our Fly Slave, the poke that we were supposed to deliver to somebody, but we never did. We're going to move to Akratik City, and we're going to move to the right towards the Lake of Rage. So we're going to skip the 6th gym for a little while, and we're basically going to do the entire 7th gym and everything related to it first. Both gyms are about as difficult, and it just works out really nicely this way. There is one more spinner on the way here. This is Benjamin. He got stuck looking to the right, so we'll just pass him like that. That might mess up my repel a little bit, but it should be fine. I should have just enough steps. So, you can actually skip every single trainer in this route by taking a very specific path here. And that gets us all the way up here, so we can get to the Gyarados. So, get ready guys, because I have a feeling we might just get either incredibly lucky or something else might be going on. We just found a shiny. This Gyarados is kind of the game's introduction to shinies. I mean, it didn't exist in Gen 1. It's kind of unlikely for trainers to have actually seen them up to this point. So, you know, it kind of gives a nice introduction to what a shiny looks like. We're gonna run away, but we can't actually run away. If we try to run, it tells us we can't. But the Pokédoll lets us run from any random encounter battle, including that one. So we can use the Pokédoll to run away from the fight. With that, we're gonna move on to the first, or to the next rocket scene. This is probably where probably, in my personal opinion, the most boring part of the run starts coming in. We have a bunch of rocket scenes coming up, and we're just going to be fighting rockets for a good while. So lots of mandatory fights that we'd really like to avoid if we could have, but we can't. So yeah, here we go. Now, I remember as a kid, I always used to think that you had to fight through all of those pillars in order to get to the end, or at least a couple of those pillars. So, you know, this would, in that case, be an incredibly long segment, because every single pillar you pass, as long as the alarm is on, gets you 5 Pokemon you need to fight. Spread out over 2 trainers. We'd like to go fast, so ideally we don't want to have to do that. Luckily there is actually a switch to turn this alarm off, so we can just turn it off and get through no problem. The first pillar is mandatory, unfortunately, so we are actually going to have to beat through this. I'm a Surf PP short. I just noticed I'm 1 Surf short. And I'm out of strength. Okay, this is gonna be interesting. Usually you have exactly 3 serves left at this point, which makes it work out really nicely, because I need to use 3 on the next fight. I'm gonna have to go for a backup strat here. Because I don't want to have to use my ether just yet. And right after this fight, we're going to get a mandatory heal again. So this guy, he's got 3 Magnemites. Normally, we'd have 3 serves left and we could use them here. But because I made a mistake, I think it happened because I surfed on the Ghastly and didn't realize I was 1 short as a result. So the first 2 we're just going to take down like this. No problem. Easy 1-shots. The third one is probably a 2-shot. I suspect we can 2-shot it with Headbutt. Yeah. Luckily, these Magnemites can't really do anything, and I had the spare Headbutt PP. But yeah, just to give you an idea of how tight the PP is, I am right now on 0 Headbutt, 0 Surf, and 0 Strength. I only have a couple bites left. So we turn off the alarm through the computer, because the scientist is now just gonna let us pass, even though we're like a 10-year-old kid taking down Team Rocket here. Oh well. That's gonna allow us to just pass all of these security points. Lance is gonna give us a full heal, so we're gonna be fine for a little while longer. All of our PP is restored.
I remember as a kid accidentally stepping on the teleporter.
Oh, I've done that. I have done that.
Really bad.
Yeah, the teleporter warps you back to the start of that floor. So yeah, I walked up there when talking to Lance to get 1 tile less movement from Lance onto the screen. Saves a couple frames. And since I need to be above the trainer anyway to talk to him and not get the exclamation mark, it doesn't actually lose me any time. It just ends up saving that 1 step. We're talking to all of these trainers because just the exclamation mark alone takes like a second. And the taking 2 additional steps takes like just under half a second. Okay, so next up is actually a really important thing that I usually forget to do. There's 2 rockets coming up that I need to fight, and afterwards I need to talk to the rocket again. This is the only point where you're not gonna get that text by default. So I have to be very careful to actually talk to them, otherwise I can't continue. It lose like, if I find out at the latest possible time, it lose me up to 45 seconds. So it's a really dumb way to lose a lot of time. So this is the first of those 2. Basically, in order to get to the executive's office, we need 2 passwords. She has the first one. Just making sure I'm using the right moves. Yeah, bite, headbutt. As mentioned, PP is so tight that I need to be careful with what moves I use here. Because if I use the wrong one, that can throw off my PP management. Okay, so we didn't forget to talk to the first one. That's a start. Just need to get the second password. The first one is Nah, it's about even in terms of how long it takes to get back to them, but the first one is slightly slower. So that's the one we definitely do not want to forget. Now this Ditto unfortunately doesn't die to a headbutt, so we're going to just use Strength. So this rocket is actually a spinner, but it's a mandatory fight anyway because he has the password. So what I usually do is I walk up to him and either I hope for him to immediately look right so that he walks towards me to save me a couple steps, or I get to talk to him. It can happen that he spins just before you talk to him and it loses like a second or two. Need to not forget to talk to this guy. He's got some interesting text, by the way. He's saying yuck, yuck, yuck all the time. He's weird.
He's like goofy.
Yeah. So this next trainer, it's a mandatory fight in gold. In Crystal, this trainer is actually a spinner. The good part is, like in Crystal, it's a spinner. You need to pass twice. So he's got 2 chances to hit you and just lose you a minute. Since we need to fight him in gold anyway, we don't have to worry about possibly losing a minute here. And the fight is really easy anyway. We just bite 3 turns because it dies to bite, no problem. And the last rat. So yeah, with that out of the way, we can move towards the executive. Basically, all of this is to interrupt a signal they're transmitting to the Lake of Rage, forcing Magikarps to evolve. The real reason, though, that we need to beat them is because one of their rockets decided to fall asleep in front of the gym. And he doesn't move out of the way, and by killing off the rockets here, that rocket is going to move out of the way so we can actually enter the gym. So had I forgotten one of the passwords, I wouldn't have been able to open up that door. And this is the first executive fight. We basically only have 2 trainer fights left here. So the first and the last poke he has are guaranteed to go down in 1 hit. The Raticate is not. We're gonna use Strength, but there's a very small chance he survives. With Perfect Attack, it's a really small chance. I think it's still a range, but it's like 96% chance or something to go down in 1 hit. I might be wrong on those odds, by the way, so don't quote me on that. Yeah, the Coffin goes down in 1 hit again. That's the first of the 2 executives that we need to fight.
Don't forget to talk to the bird.
Oh, I'm not going to. This is one that's easy to remember because you actually need to do some extra movement to talk to him. So yeah, the Murkrow, he's going to tell us the remaining password for the one other door that we passed. The password being Hail Giovanni. And with that, we're going to move on to the last door that we need to open in here. And we're going to pretty much finish up the first rocket segment. Gonna get this protein along the way. It's a lot less movement, so it's worth it for me to pick up, and it boosts my attack, helping with some ranges later on. Now, the only annoying thing about this door is I actually have to take 2 steps up for this to trigger. If I don't take those 2, opening the door alone isn't enough. So these 2 rockets, they decide to, fight me 2-on-1. It's kind of unfair. 2 rockets fighting a 10-year-old kid, 2-on-1. It's kind of mean. Luckily, Lance steps in, so we only have to fight 1. Now, 2 of these pokes are a range. I know for certain the Gloom is. The Arbok, I think, is as well, even though we have really good special. These are the fights, though, where having good stats comes in very handy, because the chances of one-shotting it are much higher because of how good my stats are. Okay, got the one-shot on both of them. That's pretty much a perfect fight. And the Murkrow to finish it off. So we're gonna get a bunch of text here. This area actually has over a minute worth of text. We start off here, this guy talks forever. And then once we've killed all 3 of the electrodes, he's gonna talk for close to a minute and a half. Unfortunately, not something we can skip. So he's gonna fight the 3 electrodes on the right, we're gonna fight the 3 on the left. Now, usually these things just go down with 1 surf. The thing is, we can't know their stats, because those are randomly generated as soon as we get into the encounter. So they can have perfect special and tank a hit. It's incredibly rare, though. Because especially on, like, I'm not sure if it's even possible on this special, but even if it is, we'd need to get, like, a very low roll, and he'd have to have perfect special. Both of which are pretty unlikely. So here we go, 1 electrode remaining. So now that we've done this entire rocket segment, it's about time we start beating up some gym leaders again, because we need to start making some progress. We've still only killed 5, and we need to kill 16 in total. So yeah, like I said, this guy is gonna talk forever now. He's gonna get us Waterfall, or Whirlpool in the process, which is one of the 2 HMs that I still needed that I didn't have yet. So he's moving out. So I'm using the protein here. Just gonna boost my attack and then escape rope out. Because we need to be in the menu there, it saves about 3 seconds to use the escape rope. And now we're coming up on the worst spinner. We cannot manipulate this spinner in any way. And he's actually really slow if we have to... Okay. I thought I hit him, so I didn't notice the buffering to the right a little longer than I should have. But still, we're dodging Douglas. That's a very rare sight to see. There is no way for me to influence that spinner, and I need to pass him twice. Making him probably one of the worst spinners in the entire game. So the Seal and Dugong both are a range, but a very rare one at perfect attack. The Pilot's Wine goes down in 1 hit. Okay, yeah, we should get the 1-shot here, or from here. Or the 2-shot, basically. So that's pretty much a perfect price segment. We didn't have to fight Douglas, and we got a perfect fight on price. Never mind. It ate an up input there. We got the flinch though, so it doesn't matter much. Okay, so we lost like 5 seconds, but other than that, it was still a really good fight. Usually you don't get the range on at least one of them, even if your attack is really solid. so I will take that, even with the eaten up input there. Basically what happened is I pressed up slightly too early and thus only moved up 1 slot instead of 2. So let's get out of here. That's the 6th, or that's 6 gyms down, and gym number 7 at that. And with that, we're going to move on to Olivine City. Now we need to climb the lighthouse for the 2nd time here, get Jasmine out, and we can start fighting the next gym leader again. There is still the spinner, which hopefully we're not going to hit. Hitting the spinner here messes up my PP management in such a way that I would take an extra center later. It's otherwise a pretty smooth walk though. It's pretty easy to get through this place. Oh, that's unfortunate. So that's the first spinner of the game. Actually, I probably can still skip the center. So I'm gonna headbutt this fight. It should be 3 headbutts because of my high level. And I'm gonna have to teach Slash later, which loses like 4 seconds, but the center would lose me 11 seconds, so I still end up saving 7 seconds in the process. So yeah, this is one of the unfortunate spinners to hit. Especially because at this point there are very few spinners left. There's, I believe, 2 more after this one. Both of which are after the 8th gym leader. Why did I press B there?
I don't know.
I usually mash A and B, and that text box shows up really quickly. So from time to time, I accidentally press B instead of A. Doesn't lose a lot of time, so it's not a big deal. So now that she's back in her gym, we can go over there and fight her. Use the escape rope. Luckily, this gym is pretty straightforward. We can just immediately walk to Jasmine. And Jasmine really is one of the easiest gym leaders in the game. So she's got steel type pokes, and that can actually wall you pretty hard if you're grinding in like a Chikorita % run or something. Luckily, we have Surf, so we can pretty much one-shot everything. That's 2. Just the Steelix remaining, and then we're done with this fight. Now, unfortunately, continuing on to the 8th gym is not an option yet. Team Rocket took over Goldenrod City and took over the radio tower, and it's pretty much transmitting all over the region. They're trying to resurrect Team Rocket and trying to get a hold of Giovanni, without success because we're going to try to stop them, of course. Unfortunately, that does mean we're going to have to fight a lot of Team Rocket members in a little bit. This is probably this is by far my least favorite segment of the game. So let's move to Goldenrod and just get it out of the way. The only good thing about this, though, is we're gonna get quite a few levels over the course of this segment, basically meaning that I won't have to worry about level grinding at any point in the speedrun. We get all the levels we need here. This is why I needed it to be Sunday at the start of the run, just so that we could get TM27 here. That's Return, which is probably one of the most powerful moves we're gonna be using. And we're gonna buy TM33. Ice Punch. I'm gonna take a quick stop here to buy 2 Calcium. We have the money for this, and that helps a lot with some of the upcoming ranges. Basically just ups the chances for me to win a lot of these fights. Okay, for this I actually need to look, so I need 3 of these because I have bad speed. It's only 2 if you have good speed. 6 special, 11 attack, 2 accuracy, and a guard spec. That's pretty much all of the X items that we're gonna need for the entire remainder of the game. So, with the exception of some max repels and some full restores, we're pretty much done with shopping for the rest of the game. There's my Calcium. At that, we're gonna also use one of the ethers here. We need to ether Surf there in order to skip having to use the center. That's one of the ones that we just cannot avoid. And with that, we're gonna try fighting Team Rocket. So this segment takes about 20 minutes. It's probably one of the worst bits of the game, just because of how long it takes and how many rockets we have to fight. We can luckily skip a lot of them, but there is still, like, a ton that we need to fight. Most stuff dies in 1 hit, though, so at least that's good. And that's the Raticates down, so that's rocket number 1 down. We need to, from the top of my head, we need to fight 8 regular Team Rocket members, about 5 executives, and then some other stuff. Luckily, we can at least avoid these. So I'm gonna have to hope to get Slash soon, though, otherwise I'm gonna run out of hits. I don't have that much headbutt, or that many headbutts left. I've got 4, so we should be fine. Yeah, we'll get it during the next fight, which is where my headbutt PP is gonna run out. So we're getting a bit of story about how Red defeated Team Rocket 3 years ago. This is also the one segment where you get to kind of see the timeline between the first two Pokemon games. So Red defeated Team Rocket 3 years ago, and the entire team disbanded. And now they're back, and they're gonna try to bring the entire Team Rocket back. We don't really want to see that happen, though. So we're gonna teach Slash, get that extra PP. So yeah, like, I have 1 headbutt left there, so again, it works out really nicely here. The only downside of Slash, and that's the main reason it's not viable for the majority of this run, it's got a 25% chance to crit, which more often than not loses you half a second because of an added text box. This should still kill, even with the +1 defense. So this guy, he looks optional. We could fight the other guy, but we'd eventually have to fight this guy anyway. We can move them in such a way that we would be able to get through, if I'm not mistaken. Although, no, that might be the other rocket later. No, okay, I'm not sure. Drawing a blank right now. It's fine. So, Headbutt wouldn't have been enough to kill this Grimer. Luckily, Slash is, so we can save up on a Strength PP here. That gets me 1 additional PP for later on in the run. So yeah, basically what we do here is the bottom of these 2 rockets, we can completely avoid him. And since this guy, you know, we're gonna have to get rid of him in some form of or another anyway, we're gonna move around like this. Oh, right, it's this scientist that we can skip by having the other rocket move down, but then when we get back later, we'd still have to fight the scientist anyway. That was it. I knew there was one of these trainers that you could theoretically skip, but it's just not worth actually doing so. Luckily this guy just has 3 Machinamites, which all die to Surf. So pretty quick fight again. Okay, 2 more trainers in the tower itself, so we're getting close here. This next trainer is actually a really interesting one. The next trainer has a Porygon, and it has a pretty small chance to go down to Surf. So if I had had bad special, or, you know, not great special, which I do have, I would have gone for Slash and hoped for the 25% crit chance. It's about even in terms of the chance for me to kill it, whether I use Slash or Surf. So we're opting to go for a Surf, and we got the range. That is actually a really hard one to get, so it's like I said, it's like 25% for it to die in 1 hit. Thank you. So yeah, luckily that worked out nicely, and there's the the director of the radio tower, or at least we think, but it's an imposter. And he's only going to tell us where the real one is if we can beat him in battle. Sadly, this guy's got 6 Pokemon, but he's not a great Pokemon trainer, so that's a good thing. This guy literally has 5 Coughings level 30. So in terms of, you know, getting your stats or your types spread out, this guy isn't too smart. I'm going to use an X special on the second one. The reason we do that on the second one is if I do it on the first, he'd use Poison Gas, which means I'd have to do an extra menu later. And the PP works out in such a way that we can afford to do this on the second one. And now all of the Coughings will go down to Bite. Unfortunately, the Wheezing does not. So we still have to Surf this one. I think that actually used to be a 2-shot as well before the X Special, so in terms of turns, we don't lose anything by using the X Special, and this way we get more PP out of it. It's just little bits of PP management that help us skip some centers and save little bits of time. So now that we've killed the director, he's gonna tell us where the real director is. He's also gonna give us the basement key, which is where he stashed the director in the underground warehouse. So let's go save this guy.
Kind of like the Team Rocket theme.
Yeah, I did too. I've heard it too much at this point, so I don't enjoy it as much anymore, but I used to really enjoy this theme. It's still a pretty good theme, honestly. Okay, so what we're gonna do here is I'm gonna teach Ice Punch. We're gonna get rid of Slash here. We don't need Slash anymore. It's served its purpose. And we need Ice Punch for the next fight anyway. I'm gonna use that to get on my bike. I think my health is still good, so I shouldn't need to actually. Let me just use a super potion just to be absolutely safe. I shouldn't have needed to use that, but let's not take any risks. This being a marathon and all. So we get to the basement and we get to see a familiar face again. We're gonna fight the rival. This is the third of the 4 rival fights. Crystal has a 5th one, somewhere in between. But in gold there's only 4 of these. Luckily this fight is pretty straightforward. Had I still had the Bitterberry at this point, which is incredibly rare but has happened before, I would have had that equipped and I would have used an X Special here. Because I don't have it, we're going to use that X Special during the Meganium. Now, would I not do that, the Meganium would have been a 2-shot anyway, so again I don't lose any turns, and it helps me kill off the pokes after the Meganium. Where is it? Here we go. So Razor Leaf still hurts a little, but not nearly as badly as it did before. This Haunter? The Haunter is a guaranteed one-shot with the X Special up. And he finishes off with a Sneasel. So yeah, this fight is significantly easier than the second time we fought him, where we literally survived with 1 health. So next up, what we need to do is we pretty much need to get to the actual director, which involves killing a lot of rockets along the way. So we're gonna start off with this guy. Luckily the first one is a really easy one. He only has a Rattata, and it's not that high leveled at that. Getting the quick attack is kind of unfortunate, especially since it crit. That lost me 2.5 seconds. A quick attack loses me 2 seconds on not getting attacked to begin with, and the crit lost me another ½ second. That's kind of unfortunate, but the red has a tendency to do that. Now this is where our stats are going to come into play big time. A lot of the pokes that we're going to have to fight from this point on are going to be ranges. This Muck is one example. It's not guaranteed to go down, but because our special is as close to perfect as you can expect it to get, a lot of these are almost certain or entirely certain as a result. So it works out really nicely. That is not the case if you don't have amazing special. Again, the quick attack losing me 2 seconds. But we got the range. Not getting the range loses 8 seconds, so at the end of the day, that was still a really good fight. We're gonna still ignore the switches, because we want to activate the 3rd one first. So this guy also has a similar Muck, and again it's one of those ranges, so it's not a guaranteed kill. That's what I'm talking about. So yeah, that can happen. The worse my special is, the more likely he's to survive with a little bit of health. Now, I remember this puzzle. Playing this as a kid, I would spend hours trying to figure out the combination here. Luckily, the combination is surprisingly easy if you do it correctly right off the bat. It's just start with the last one and then move your way back. That's going to open up a path so that we can continue. Now, we're going to have to fight a couple burglars who are hanging out around here as well. They're generally not too painful, but it's kind of annoying how these guys are in the way here as well. The coughing. So that's burglar Eddie down. There is one more burglar that we're gonna have to fight. He's right over here. Now, you'll notice on the Magmar that I'm gonna be using strength. I could serve him, which would seem the obvious choice here. But over the course of these fights, we're gonna try to avoid super effective text boxes as best we can. One little thing we do to optimize the run a little is whenever we can get a kill with a move that's not super effective, we preferably use that to skip a text box. It saves about half a second every time we do it, and it saves like a good 20 seconds over the course of the run. This Magmar is one example of this. The entire next trainer is as well. The next trainer has 2 glooms. Which to Ice Punch is super effective, but instead we're going with strength. There's 8 more trainers left for Team Rocket, so we're getting close to the end of all of these Team Rockets, so we can actually start continuing to the final gym. We could get into the Mahogany Town right now if we wanted to, but somebody would be blocking the door of the gym, so we can't actually continue. Okay, so we're kind of running out of strength PP. We don't really have that much more to spare. Yet we're not going to Ice Punch the Golbat. This guy's got a Raticate and a Golbat. The Raticate luckily does die to Ice Punch anyway, so I can Ice Punch the Golbat, or the Raticate, and then Strength the Golbat, and that saves the text box. Just to get that half a second time save again. There's 2 more trainers left down here, and then we're going back into the radio tower itself. We have enough strength left, so it should be okay. Okay, 1 remaining rocket down here. I'm judging by the text boxes, I guess that's the same guy that gave us the password earlier. Although surprisingly, he doesn't have Eradicate this time, so I might be wrong there.
Even his text mentions the same rockets.
Ah, okay. I wasn't sure if the text does. I haven't read the text in this game in such a long time. So yeah, now that we're practically out of Bite PP, and Bite is starting to kind of become underpowered here, we're gonna start replacing Bite after the conversation here. This is where we're gonna get that one remaining move, Return. Now, Return is not a move with a set damage. The damage you deal depends on the happiness of your Pokemon. But at this point, we're close to max happiness, and by the time we get to the Elite Four, it's pretty much on its maximum. Let's see, so we'll teach Return. Gotta always be careful to not teach it to anybody else, because everybody can learn it, and it'd be really bad if we teach it to the wrong Pokemon here. Since I'm in this menu anyway, I'm also gonna teach Whirlpool to Poliwag real quick. Yeah, Super for safety. And we're gonna escape rope out. So, let's finish up the radio tower. It's about time we did. Now, considering we've been going for over 2 hours and we still have an entire region to go, it might seem as if, we'd never make it. Interestingly enough, the first region is like over 2.5 hours, and the entire Kanto region is going to take us like 45 minutes. Like, Kanto is really easy compared to Johto. In big part because of all of those rockets that we need to deal with, and just the fact that we need to actually do a lot more questing in general. Whereas in Kanto, there are very few trainers we actually have to fight. By the time we get there, it's basically just going to be a rush of gyms. Just gonna get the 8 badges as quickly as possible. Okay, 3 rockets left. Now, between the 3 rockets, there are 3 Pokemon that are a damage range, so 3 of them that I'm not guaranteed to kill. This Golbat is the first one. Even with super effective Ice Punch, it's not guaranteed to kill. We did get the kill, so that's lucky. There we go. This next fight is actually the worst one. The next fight has 2 damage ranges of the 3 pokes, and the last fight is free. Now, on the upside, we did just get Return, and Return has 20 PP, which is a lot for this speedrun. Like, getting a really powerful move with that much PP is just what makes this, what makes PP management in general a lot easier, especially near the end of the game. Okay, so we got the range on the Arbok. That Arbok was a damage range. So is this Vileplume? I think getting this one, that means we got every single damage range except for 1 Muck in the entire rocket segment. That is honestly very lucky. It's rare to only miss 1 range.
You notice he just did a quick move switch.
Yeah, I switched those moves because we're going to be using Return a lot more than Ice Punch. We're gonna still use Ice Punch a few times, but starting Kanto, Return is just gonna be our main move. So switching that just saves time in the long run, because it means I have to scroll less through my moves. It's basically a minor time loss that I take here to save time down the line, or, you know, further down the line. And now luckily we can use Return on him, so he can save the Surf PP and skip the super effective text box. So we've got 5 Ice Punches here, and that's just about exactly what I need from this point on. So we have four left at this point, and there are four Pokemon that I need to Ice Punch. So we're gonna end up with 0 Ice Punch at the end of it. It's one of those bits where it works out exactly the way you want it to. And that finishes up Team Rocket. Now, before we actually leave the radio tower, we're gonna get a few more things. First of all, this guy is gonna talk to us forever again. He's gonna thank us. You know, this 10-year-old kid, he just saved the world. He's gonna give us the Rainbow Wing, which we could get to get Ho-Oh. In Silver, you would have gotten the Clear... No, not Clear Bell. That's Heart Gold.
Silver Wing.
Silver Wing. There you go. So this is the Silver Wing for Lugia. Now, before we go out, we're going to talk to Mary over here. And she's going to give us the Pink Bow. The Pink Bow ups our damage from normal moves. And since we're going to be using Return and Strength as basically our 2 main moves, adding some damage to normal type moves is a nice little bonus. Now before we're leaving, we're also going to do this little quiz over here. We need to get the radio card because there's one moment in Kanto that we need it. It's to get the Slowpoke out of the way. So she's going to ask us 5 questions here. Now the answers, interestingly enough, are identical in Crystal and Gold, but the questions are different. They changed up the questions, but they... Oh, I'm meshing the wrong... That's really unfortunate. On the last question. It's fine. It's fine. We're honestly having a very solid run so far, so time-wise, we're completely fine. That's what you'd get for trying to explain and mash the correct buttons at the same time. So yeah, the answers are yes, yes, no, yes, no. I'm mashing B to answer no. And as a result, we get the radio card. We don't care for any radio shows except for one near the end of the run. We're going to equip the Pink Bow. And let's make our way to the next town. We're gonna get a phone call in a little bit from the bike shop, basically telling us, "Oh, you've advertised my bike so well, you get to keep the bike." It's usually around this area, unless you've taken a lot of extra steps. It's slightly earlier because I had to go around Benjamin earlier on in the run. So, one more trainer to go here. This trainer is actually optional in Crystal. In Gold, we have to fight him, though. Luckily, he's not a big deal. He's got these 2 Pidgeotos, but they all die to Strength instantly. Back in one of the old routes, we used to use the lake on the left here to catch our Waterfall and Whirlpool Slave. What we used to do is we used to pick up the elixir there and then do the rocket segment. Once we've had our warp point to Mahogany. Or not Mahogany, Blackthorn. So this dungeon has some pretty tight movement. If I make a mistake here, I'm gonna run out of repels, and I don't have enough repels to recover from that, so I'd have to YOLO a little bit. So I'm gonna focus on my movement a little bit to try and avoid taking too many extra steps. This puzzle gave me a lot of trouble as a kid, by the way. Now it's easy.
Everyone choked at least on one puzzle.
True, so we need HM07, that's Waterfall. We need to use that one time over the course of the entire game. Come on. So yeah, that's where the repel wears out, and I only took 2 extra steps over the course of that dungeon. So just to give you an idea, that's about how much leniency you have. Now we're gonna make matters worse here, and I'm gonna use the repel very early, pretty much for it because I want it to wear out exactly on the tile that I'm gonna have to menu anyway, to save having to open up the menu an extra time later. So again, I'm gonna have to try to avoid taking extra steps in the gym. So yeah, this is the Dragon Gym, and this is actually where Ice Punch gets to show off how powerful it is. Ice Punch would pretty much one-shot everything, it being super effective on Dragon types. Were it not for the fact, like, we only have 4 Ice Punches, so we gotta be careful. Plus, we want to try to avoid those text boxes again. So we're gonna save 3 of them for the Gym Leader, and we need to use 1 earlier on, because it doesn't die to return. Okay, these Seadras are, I need to critical in order to one-shot them, and they have smoke screens, so they can be kind of annoying. Let's see how much of a pain they're going to be today. Now, right after this fight, there's actually a frame-perfect bit of movement coming up, where if I do it frame perfectly, I save 8 frames. It's a really cool trick. It's really hard to get though, and in my D-Rust runs I haven't been able to get it yet, so let's see if we can pull it off. So yeah, we're gonna get another one of those puzzles where we have to move a couple boulders into those gaps. Now if I push the boulder exactly, or once I push the boulder into the gap and I move perfectly, I can... Yeah, we didn't get it. You can get 1 step up there. It's pretty much frame perfect. Only saves 8 frames, but it's really cool to see. That's actually surprisingly difficult to get. Hey. Yeah, we're in the 8th gym.
We're joining the party.
Cool, cool.
You know, 3 Pokemon.
So yeah, again with this Seadra, we need a critical to one-shot it. It doesn't die to return, unfortunately. It's pretty close, but considering I have perfect attack and that was pretty much a max roll, it's not gonna happen.
That's such a cheater.
Yeah, the PP management is so tight that I didn't want to risk making a mistake. just gonna drop down here. So this is that one other trainer that I need to use Ice Punch on. And like I said, we have 4, and I need 3 for the gym leader, so it's gonna work out exactly the way I want it to.
PP rally.
Yeah, I know, right? Gold has incredibly tight PP management all over the place. So yeah, the Dratini just dies to return, so you can just go for that. But he has a Dragonair or she has a Dragonair as well. And the Dragonair does not die to anything. That's not super effective here. So we're gonna use the Ice Punch. And that gets us to the last gym leader of the Johto region. Now we still do have an entire region remaining, and we still have to do the Elite Four, so we've still got a little bit before we're actually going to be able to finish up. So yeah, this is Claire. She calls herself like the biggest dragon trainer out there, even though we all know that's Lance, because Lance is the champion for a reason, I guess. These Dragonairs do not go down to return again, so we need to Ice Punch them. She finishes with a Kingdra. Now, back before we used the Ping Bow, the Kingdra was actually a range, and if you didn't get it, she'd Hyper Potion, and you'd be back to square one. Luckily, because of the Ping Bow, it's a guaranteed 2-shot. And there is no way that the Kingdra can do enough health to actually become a threat.
I hated this gym casually.
I'd imagine.
I'm pretty sure it was pretty over-leveled by this point.
That's hard to do in this game.
If you're really trying to keep a party of 6 party members, you're really under-leveled at this point. I remember getting walled in this gym when I actually had a party of 6. So yeah, Hyper Beam, not a big deal at all. We can easily tank it. That's Claire down. Now Claire, she's gonna be a little mean. She's not gonna give us the badge yet. She doesn't feel like we've proven ourselves, and we need to actually go into Dragon's Den first. She's not gonna admit her loss.
Just like Whitney.
Well, Whitney is just crying,
Yeah.
so it's not a big deal. She just says, yeah, you've not proven yourself. Go do this entire extra dungeon before I'm actually gonna give you the badge.
Well, this part is the only reason I like Crystal, because Claire gets served by...
Yeah.
by
This area is actually different in Crystal, in that there are some questions you have to answer in Crystal, whereas in Gold you have to get through it.
Yeah, that's in the remake as well. That question.
yeah, I really like that part. Serves you right.
I'm thinking, are there any other main series Pokemon games where like you just don't get the badge immediately after the play?
Not that I know of.
No,
Just this game. Huh?
Unless it's the new 3DS titles.
No,
I don't
played
think so, no.
those.
Not as far as I know.
I can assure you it's not in the classic ones.
It's pretty weird.
So this is where my rappel is going to wear out, and this is the thing that I needed to pick up. So I'm going to escape rope out of here, and at the same time I can just use that one of the 2 remaining rappels. So that's 8 badges down, 8 more to go. But first we're going to do the Elite Four. Luckily the Elite Four in this game is actually the easiest of any Pokemon game. Seriously though, like in every Pokemon game there's at least one thing in the E4 that can kill you, but not in this game. We've got nothing to worry about.
Completely free?
Yeah, it's completely free. Before I forget... Come on. Before I forget, I still need to teach Waterfall to my Poliwag.
Strangely enough, Feraligatr can't learn Waterfall.
True.
I would consider Feraligatr more likely to learn to climb a waterfall than a small little Poliwag thing.
Very true, but it just happens to work out this way.
It's not Poliwag, it's Poliswag. So of course it works. Movesets never made sense before 4th gen.
Yeah.
Welcome to Charizard not being able to fly in the
Yeah.
original Red.
Yeah, it can in yellow actually.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. In red, he can't fly.
Yeah, it's
Red and blue.
So let's make our way to Kanto. It's about time. Now this guy, he's gonna be a bit of a jerk. He's gonna tell us, oh, that's amazing, you just took your first step in Kanto. Check your Pokegear to confirm this. Even though we don't have the town map, because we never got it. So we have no way of checking to begin with, but sure, I guess. Luckily, waterfall movement up is really fast.
it's the
It's been
fastest
so
out.
long since I've seen that animation. It's so stupid.
It's one of the fastest waterfall animations if
It's
I remember
the
correctly.
fastest, I
It's
think.
spin animation.
Most of them really go slowly up.
Yeah.
Pretty sure in later versions they even make you go up yourself. Yeah. They're just like, these are tiles now.
So this is one of the 2 trainers still remaining. This is what we had to keep some surfs for in the back. So I have 2 surfs. There's 2 Pokemon that I need to surf. So at this point, I've got 0 Ice Punch. I've got 1 Strength left, I believe, because I got a crit somewhere. I've got 0 Ice Punch, and I've got a bunch of returns. So this just goes to show how incredibly tight PP is here. Luckily, Execute just dies to return. Even that, we only have 6 left after this fight, and we're gonna have to use 1 more. We're gonna surf the Quagsire. Because he's part rock, it's still normal effective, so we get pretty much just the full damage out of it. Part ground, you're right. It's ground water. Whoop. Okay.
Movement.
Perfect movement.
Nobody saw that. Nobody saw that. So we're coming up on one of the 2 remaining spinners in the game. If we can pass Joyce, there is only 1 left in Kanto that we need to fight. And this is where a really big difference between Gold and Crystal comes up. Crystal has like 6 or 7 spinners or something in Kanto, whereas Gold only has 1. So the amount of time you can lose in Kanto is a lot less in Gold than it is in Crystal. Which is part of what makes Gold a pretty neat speed game. That crit was entirely unnecessary, we would have one-shot regardless.
Yay, lost play.
Yeah, loses like half a second. So we're gonna talk to her. She's gonna heal up our Pokemon. This is kind of the replacement of a Pokemon Center, because this is a faster way to heal, and we really need it to heal. That is also the last heal that we're gonna get throughout the entire remainder of the game.
Did that refund PP?
Come again?
Did the heal actually refund PP or was
Yeah,
that-
it does.
Okay,
Come
cool.
on, Joyce, can you move out of the way? And she quick spun me. That is unfortunate.
Wow.
So
Reset.
interestingly enough, that actually happened almost in the exact same way in my PB as well.
PB face.
Not at all. So the Pikachu, that's not a big deal. It's the Blastoise that's annoying, because the Blastoise isn't the one-shot. I am going to return and hope for a crit, but I don't think even with max attack we can get it in one shot.
Water types, yay.
It's fine though, we have plenty of PP, so we don't have to worry about the PP management for a while. So, these trainers are unfortunately not optional. In Crystal, all of these trainers except for the last one here are. In Gold, you pretty much just have to fight through all of them. Luckily, they're generally not too bad, so we should be able to get some pretty quick kills here. Now, because I have perfect attack, there is a very small chance I can one-shot the Golduck in a little bit. That only ever happens on perfect attack, and like a max roll. We didn't even consider it being a damage range until we found out that that would have killed. The Flareon just dies to 1 strength. No need to worry about it. So yeah, this guy has one of the hardest damage, probably the hardest damage range in the game. The Parasect is going to die to 1 return regardless. The Golduck probably isn't, but we can hope it will. On anything less than perfect special, you need a critical to kill the Golduck. So let's see if we can get the magic 1-shot on this guy.
Let's go.
Dude! Oh, we got the crit. We got the crit. We got the 1 in 16 critical.
Good enough.
That works.
Perfectly fine.
That I would still consider getting a crit on that pretty much a perfect fight there. That leaves 1 trainer left, and then we're on to Victory Road. So this girl, she only has a Rapidash, and you know, Rapidash being a fire type, we're not gonna have to worry about it. We have Surf. Now on bad special, that Rapidash can be a damage range, but considering we've got 14 DV special, there's no way that we would have missed it.
I'll not do that on camera.
So this guy, he's gonna check if we have all of the badges. Yeah, we have the 8 badges, so let's go ahead. Yeah, in the remakes they actually only check for, I believe, Chuck's badge. It's one of the badges that they check for. It's actually like you can skip half the gyms with some glitches there.
You're so much weaker than I am. Let's find out.
Well, then again, you need a very specific set of badges to reach Chuck.
Yeah, true.
Normally.
But in the any percent run of Hard Gold, Soul Silver, they skip a few gyms. So this is the last time we're gonna have to fight the rival. Luckily he leads with the Sneasel, so there's nothing really we need to worry about. Now, luckily my health is actually still looking really good, so I shouldn't need to heal before the first of the E4. That Meganium is normally a damage range if you don't have the X special up. Like, without the X special, half of these Pokemons are ranges, but with the X special, they're all guaranteed one-shots. Okay, 2 remaining. So now comes the Kadabra, which is the only one we're not going to be using a special move on. I'm going to save my remaining special moves because I kind of need those on the E4. I'm just going to return this. So that basically was Victory Road. Now back in the old days, we actually used to get Earthquake here, and we'd use Earthquake instead of Return. But Return does the job way better anyway, so we ended up switching moves. Plus Return is faster to get as well. Move 1 tile right to save a few frames there.
What move would you use throughout Kanto if you didn't get Return?
Earthquake and Strength.
Strength.
Yeah, we have Strength regardless. Actually, let's buy a revive as well for the safety. It is a marathon after all.
A marathon.
So this is Will, the first of the E4. He's a psychic trainer. Now, generally, he's not that bad, but he can troll a little with Confuse Ray.
Quick question: does not healing there really lose that much time, or save that much time?
It doesn't save much time, but it doesn't lose me anything at all. This fight is entirely free.
Fair enough, but for the later fights in the series.
We're most likely going to have to heal at some point. So yeah, he used the Confuse Ray there, which means I can heal that off with using a full restore. So this is where I use my full restore and immediately get rid of the confusion. It's one of those fights where not being on full health is completely fine because you're going to get the heal for free here anyway. So it saves one menu. So we get to Executor, not in Palm Tree form, luckily. Shout outs to Alola Executor.
Would still go down to Ice Punch.
That's true.
Even better.
Even better, yeah. So the Jings we're just gonna return. Jings, by the way, having the longest cry of any Pokemon in the game. It's horrible. In red, you can skip that cry if you're in red bar, saving like a good 2.5 seconds. Slowbro, the only thing that's not a one-shot in this fight. As long as he uses Amnesia, then we're fine. That's the perfect move for him to use. Because we're using physical hits and he just raises special defense. And to finish up the Xatu. Yeah, that's the first of the E4 down. Now, for those of you that have not played Gen 2 but have played Gen 1, or I guess the remakes in Gen 3, Fire Red and Red Green, you might recognize this next member of the Elite Four. So this is Koga, who got a promotion in the past 3 years. He's no longer a gym leader, he's now a Elite Four member. So I'm gonna set up an X special here, and if he uses double team, I'm gonna use the X accuracy as well. If he doesn't use double team, I can skip that for now and set that up later.
Shoutouts to his Elite Four team being lower level than his gym leader team.
That's true, actually, yeah. Never noticed that. So yeah, because he didn't go for the double team, I can set up on the fortress, which is gonna use Spike's turn 1, so making it pretty much free.
Lance was never a gym leader, but he did level down.
Yeah, he did level down.
He's got like sub-level 50 Dragonite.
Yeah, the highest level in the entire Elite Four is level 50.
He released them back into nature and caught new ones.
So yeah, what the X accuracy does is it completely skips the accuracy check. So regardless of how high the evasion of the opponent is, I am always going to hit. This only counts for Gen 1 and 2. In Gen 3 they fixed that, but basically that makes that item completely broken. The Muck is a 2-shot regardless, so we're going to use Return here. So yeah, minimize, don't care. Even though he's got a high evasion now, we're still just gonna hit because of the X accuracy. It completely skips the accuracy check. And to finish up the Crobat is faster, so he's gonna do a double team. But we don't care.
Punch
Team
both
are the
of
vein
them.
of my existence in casual play.
Just punch both of them.
Kurt really likes evasion. Or Koga, I mean.
Yeah, Koga does. Luckily with the X accuracy, we just
it is
don't have to
amazing.
worry about it.
Yeah, true.
So next up, we're gonna probably come up on the only Elite Four member that's still a regular Elite Four member 3 years later. We're gonna come up on Bruno. Now Bruno used to be a very interesting fight in that we had to what we used to do is we used to set up an X attack on turn 1. He usually would go for dig. He pretty much always goes for dig, and then we'd have to pretty much waste a turn. Instead of that, we're just going to use 2 X attacks because with the route that we have the money to do that. So I can set up a second X attack for free. Now, as a result of that, the Machamp is now a 1-shot instead of a 2-shot. So we 1-shot his entire party. I am going to heal before the next fight because due to my low speed, the Gengar is going to outspeed me, which doesn't usually happen, and I don't want to take any risks with it. That gets us the Hitmonlee. He's gonna move up with it, or send out the Machamp next, which we just kill in 1 hit. Then he finishes off with an Onix, which, considering we have both Ice Punch and Surf, is not really a big issue. That's 3 Elite Four members down, 1 to go, and then it's on to the champion. Now as I do this, I'm gonna actually move my max repels up now. This is a fine time to do just that. It's just to optimize the menu for later on in the run. So this is Karen. She's kind of the replacement for Agatha. She still uses dark types and ghost types, although she also has a Vileplume, which is neither, but you know.
It looks dark.
It looks dark. Yeah, I guess that's it.
It's pretty gloomy.
Wow.
So that's our last X special. He's going for a sand attack, but he failed, which means I'm just gonna surf. If he misses the sand attack twice, I can skip having to use my X accuracy. He does get it off, so that's what we have the X act for. Oh, the confused Ray though. I'm gonna need to heal that. So yeah, from here on the fight becomes pretty easy. I'm gonna Ice Punch the Murkrow, I think, to make sure that my PP works out a little bit better. Yeah, I'm 1 Surf short, so we're gonna do that. It's gonna get me 1 extra text box, but it saves me a turn later on. So this Gengar, he's guaranteed to outspeed me. He did not? Okay. It might be a speed tie.
We'll never know.
Okay, I really seriously thought 3DV was guaranteed for him to outspeed me. I guess he doesn't, which is good.
Maybe someone in chat knows.
Just take it.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Just roll with it. You rolled initiative. Natural 20.
Pretty much. It might be a speed tie, but I really thought I would get outsped there. And that gets rid of the Houndoom. That finishes up the Elite Four. Now I am gonna take a save after, before the champion, because I need to do a reset later, just to make sure that I have another save in the back. I shouldn't need it for any reason whatsoever, but because we've only very recently started doing this, I figure I might as well. Okay, let's get some hype for the best music in the game. This is my favorite theme
I
by
like
far.
how the team cuts out before you
Yeah,
talk to
it's
them.
just dead silence for a little bit.
You
we
have to,
go.
dude.
This theme is pretty good.
We're only gonna hear it twice, unfortunately. So ideally, I'd have to Gyarados Hyper Beam me, because that gets me to set up an X speed for free. Going with Flail, so we don't get to set that up for free. Had I gotten that, I would be able to outspeed the Aerodactyl, removing the chance of getting flinched. Now I'm going for a bit of a risky strat on the third Dragonite. The third Dragonite is a damage range, but because we have near perfect special, I figure we can probably just go for it. Best case scenario, it saves about 8 seconds. Worst case scenario, it loses about 20. It's more likely to save time though, so
Go for it.
exactly. So yeah, these Dragonites, they're just guaranteed one-shots, nothing to worry about. It's this one that isn't. It's a damage range. A very favorable range at
1
that.
HP.
Nope, we got him.
Ah,
We got him.
We did it, Reddit.
would have been the marathon. The marathon special, 1 HP.
Marathon special.
So he gets that ancient power off here. That's kind of what annoys me there, which is why I would have liked to have the X speed, but Surf should still one-shot it, so no big deal. The problem of ancient power is he can get a stat upgrade there, in which case we don't one-shot anymore. And my last Surf for the Charizard.
One dirt face.
That's one of the worst Charizard sprites
You think?
I kind of like this sprite actually.
ever.
Its face is really messed up though.
True. Well, if it makes you feel any better, there is only 2 that we're going to have to ever see in the run. There is only 1 more, and it's on the final fight. It's the last Pokemon we need to defeat.
Like, I don't mind it. I feel bad for the Charizard though. It's being badly represented.
So yeah, like I said, E4 completely free.
You
So-
can't do much worse than the Gen 1 Charizard sprite, like Pokemon Rhythm.
This is true. That sprite is just
At least you
Just
don't get
really
to see
bad.
the derpy face though.
Especially.
Like, that face.
Gen
that.
1 has even worse sprites.
So
than
we're going into the Hall of Fame, and it's gonna save the game in a little bit. After that save, I'm gonna have to do a hard reset to skip the credits.
Or is that even?
Don't worry, I've got this. Don't worry.
Why not a soft
Do-
reset?
We can't soft reset.
Ah.
We literally can't.
Same goes for Metroid Fusion after the ship picks you up.
So yeah, we're just gonna skip the Hall of Fame because we can. We're not gonna bother. It saves about 2 to 2.5 minutes to do that.
RTA strats. Woo!
Hey.
Although
Nope.
the ending theme is kind of nice.
No piss breaks for you.
Nope. Back when the Pokemon community used in-game time, you could just let the credits roll and take a bathroom break. But let's be fair here, this is faster. Plus, it's only like, it's less than an hour left at this point. We might as well just keep going.
It's only 4 hours.
Yeah, exactly. It's not that long.
Mesh repel wear off in a building.
So we just got the SS ticket. Had we talked to the professor again, we could have gotten the Master Ball, but let's be fair, we have nothing to actually use it on.
Bragging rights?
Fair enough.
Use it on Red's Pikachu for shits and giggles.
So we're gonna get onto the SSN and we're actually gonna start moving to Kanto. It's about time we did. So we're gonna get into a little bit of an intermission, so to speak. This guy, he's lost his granddaughter. She's somewhere on the ship and he can't find her. It's good parenting right there.
Grandparent.
Yeah. So this guy, he doesn't want to let us pass towards the captain because his buddy, he's being lazy, and his buddy is supposed to be on duty right now, but he's just slacking off somewhere. Wait, is this correct? Yeah, this is correct. Started to doubt whether that was the correct door or not. So luckily, once we leave the boat, we're gonna get a full heal anyway, so I can just use a couple returns and we don't have to worry about it at all.
I'm seriously underrated.
Yeah. You'll notice at this point we are very much over-leveled, and that's suddenly going to change once we get to the last gym leader on Kanto. Like, honestly, the Elite Four is harder than almost every single gym leader in Kanto.
To be fair, the Elite Four is supposed to be stronger than regional gym leaders.
This is true, they are supposed to be stronger, and this counts for, like I said, everything except for blue.
It is Pokemon Go.
True. So yeah, he's gonna take over from his buddy at last, so we can actually get to the captain.
Gonna win this race again.
Yeah, I don't know where that was coming from. I guess it was a jab at me, but I'm just gonna pretend I didn't read that.
Now it just so happened this girl is right here with the captain. Now, as a reward for helping this guy, he's gonna give us a metal coat. You know, it's an item that we could use to evolve a Scyther or an Onyx when we use it in a trade, but we don't ever need it, and actually getting it just wastes time. But we can't avoid doing so, or we can't avoid getting it. But with that, we've arrived in Kanto, and it's about time we start finishing up.
Yes, that actually does something.
Yeah.
This is the SS Aqua.
So,
This
in a
is
little
exciting.
bit, when I enter Rock Tunnel, just after the next trainer we're fighting, I'm gonna need some serious time, because I need to be able to hear the game. I'm basically going to have to rely on audio cues alone. Nah, this is fine, I can hear it with this. I need to hear when I'm bonking into a wall. You'll see why.
Well, I'm guessing pure pitch black without light.
So yeah, we're gonna immediately continue to Lavender. There's one trainer we need to fight here. He only has one Pokemon, so there's nothing to worry about.
The Kanto battle theme.
Yep. We're gonna change battle theme. We're gonna get the Kanto battle theme here.
Even though we've been in Kanto before, like for the Elite Four.
True. So we're just gonna return the Machamp. It'll die in one hit. Okay. Let's get some serious time. Hello? Hello? Why am I not... I have plenty of repels, it's fine. That should have gotten me immediately into the stairs. But for some reason I'm stuck. Let me check. There we go. Okay, other than that first room that went pretty well. The first room was a pain, but that's alright. So we enter the center there to set a warp point so that I don't have to do the entire dungeon a second time. Basically, there's two ways to get here. Either you go through Cerulean, in which case you have to fight several trainers, so that's significantly slower. Or you go through Rock Tunnel. But now that we've set a warp point there, as long as I don't enter any other Pokemon centers, we're just going to be able to use Abra and get back there instantly. So we just need to talk to him, and that's going to trigger probably like the last fetch quest that we need to do. So the generator of the power plant got stolen, and he's gonna ask this guard, he's gonna ask this 10-year-old kid to replace it. Or to pretty much just find it back. So, you know, obviously we're gonna do that because otherwise we can't actually finish the game. But before we do, we're gonna take care of some gym leaders here. I mean, we do still need to beat 8 gyms, so it's about time we started doing just that.
We have an hour to do so.
Eh. Should be doable. So we're starting off with a Celadon gym, basically because it's the only one that we have to go out of our way for. All of the other gyms line up really nicely. Everything just dies to return here, so we've got nothing to worry about. Now we're going to be seeing another Executor, so let's get this one down as well. So on the next fight, what we're going to do is instead of using Return, we're going to be using Strength. Return having slightly more power at this point. You know, some of the enemies will not go down to Strength, but they will to Return. So we kind of got to manage our PP here a little. I do still have that extra Ether, so if things go wrong somewhere, I can use that. But ideally, we want to avoid having to do just that. So this girl, she's got 3 pretty weak Pokemon, so we can just Strength and completely beat her. Okay, let's get to the actual gym leader. It's about time. So this gym leader has a pretty interesting strat. So the Blossom, which is her 4th and last Pokemon, we cannot get him down in one hit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a X attack on the Victory Bell. He's guaranteed to do Sunny Day because he's kind of trying to set up for a Solar Beam. And then from there on I can kill everything in one hit. So we're starting off with Tangela. We're just going to kill that with Ice Punch. Both the Jump Bluff and the Victory Bell would go down to Return no problem, but the Blossom just doesn't. So yeah, there's the Sunny Day. Now we can just Return until he's defeated. That's one gym down. One Kanto gym down. 7 to go. And we're just immediately going to move on to the next one, because I figure we might as well. With our attack stat, we should be fine. So this next gym, we're going to go for Sabrina next. And it's kind of debatable, because the Espeon on that fight is a range, and Espeon has Sand Attack. So that can be a real issue. But because our attack is as good as it is, we can pretty safely go there. We should be able to get the range, no problem. It's also the place with the last remaining spinner that we need to pass.
You mentioned your attack stat. Would anything be different if your attack was worse?
If my attack was really low, I would have gone for Misty first. I would have done Misty and... Oh, that's annoying. Whatever. It's whatever. But yeah, if my attack had been really bad, I would have probably gone Misty first to up my chances of actually killing the Espeon. You get to kill a lot of trainers in between, because there's a line of 7 trainers that you need to kill. So that would give me that extra level up and hopefully help me. So yeah, we hit the last 2 spinners unfortunately, but we're now done with every trainer that I wouldn't have to fight. We're gonna avoid every other trainer, except for a few that we just can't avoid in general.
Line of trainers.
Yep. And then there are some in gyms. So Sabrina tells us that 3 years ago she had a vision of us coming, and that she already knows who's going to win. She might as well have given us the badge, because we were gonna win to begin with. Like, this fight is not a fight she can win. So yeah, this Espeon is a damage range, but a very favorable one. And we got it. And from here on, the rest of the fight is free.
It's really absurd how much difference the stats at the beginning make out for the entire one.
Yeah, the stats at the start make a huge difference. That's also the reason why we don't run females, because they always have a bad attack stat. It's guaranteed. Like, the stats matter a lot in making sure that we can get these kills. Because you can lose a lot of time here if it's not good enough. Like, if I hadn't gotten that range, that would have lost me a bunch of time, because she could have sand attacked, and then I can just start missing. Which is fine for this run, but if I hadn't had the extra ether, that would also mess up my PP management, just to make matters worse. So now that 2 gyms are down, we're gonna move on to Cerulean City, and we're gonna get the last intermission, basically. There's this rocket. He stole the generator that we were talking about earlier. Now, Team Rocket, we kind of completely beat Team Rocket already. If we were to talk to him again and actually fight him, he would realize, you know, Team Rocket is done for. It's completely pointless what he's doing. And he would tell us that he hid the generator inside the gym, but we know exactly where it is, so we're just going to avoid that. Now, unfortunately, Misty isn't in the gym. She's on a date with her boyfriend near Bill's house. And the only way to get there is by passing a line of 7 trainers. Now, technically, the game actually tells us it's a team of 6, but there's this one guy at the end that is like, okay, I don't belong with them, but I wait here for trainers to be incredibly tired, and then I try to beat them. He's kind of a jerk like that. Probably my favorite Pokemon sprite in this game, the Wigglytuff. I love how adorable those eyes are.
I love how it's such a big improvement of Wigglytuff's red sprite.
True. They did definitely improve that sprite.
That goes for a lot of sprites.
Very true.
But especially that one.
Yeah, Wigglytuff was kind of weird.
It was so creepy.
So that's 2 down, 5 to go. Now, had I had bad attack, I would have gone for Ice Punch on the Tangela. Because I have a perfect attack stat, I can just return here and it saves me a super effective text box. So this is again one of those differences that had I had, you know, average or below attack, I would have just gone for Ice Punch. The PP management is going to work out either way, so it's nothing we need to worry about. Next up, we're going to get a double battle before the double battles were a thing. Basically 2 trainers that are both going to attack me at the same time. It's fine though, neither of these trainers is too troublesome. The last has got 3 Pokemon that will die to Strength, and the guy only has a Nidoking, which dies to Return. You can get to see the level difference here as well, like it's crazy how over-leveled we are at this point. That's gonna change really soon when we get to Red, but... for now, we just pretty much just one-shot everything. Nice crits there. So we're gonna get the chance to learn Hydro Pump here. You know, it has 5 PP, it's not 100% accurate, and we really don't need it, so there's honestly no reason for me to take it. Plus I'd have to get rid of either Return or Ice Punch, and that's not something I want to do. Red's team is all like level 75-ish. We're gonna be level 63 to 64 going into that fight.
They upped the levels in the remake.
Yeah. In the remake, it's like 80, like high 80s somewhere, I think.
Low 80s and 88 for the Pikachu.
Yeah, I've only ever seen the Pikachu, so... or at least that I can remember from the top of my head. But yeah, that sounds about right. Here they're in like mid-70s for the most. But we're still gonna be like a good 10 to 15 levels under-leveled.
Twice as strong, twice as high level as this Paris.
Yep. So yeah, this is the 6th of the trainers. Unfortunately, they don't even give me any rewards for it. Then again, if they did it, we'd probably just waste time, because we don't really need anything else. But unlike the Nugget Bridge in Pokemon Red, you don't actually get anything. So that's the 6 trainers down, but unfortunately there's this jerk at the end of it, who's gonna try to beat me now that I'm tired. Luckily, he only has 1 Porygon, and let's be fair here, since we're trying to avoid using centers, we have nothing to worry about. Now he's all gonna be sad that we still beat him.
Aren't you tired at all?
So we're gonna interrupt Misty's date here.
Pest.
Yeah, she calls us a pest, but then she realizes that we have like 10 badges already. So we're probably there because we want to fight her.
for sort of fate checker, and it's even mentioned that's a place for dates, and Misty has high hopes.
I didn't know they mentioned that. That's actually pretty interesting.
Yeah, they added all kinds of trivia in that game.
I guess that's kind of makes sense because they know at that point they knew what was going to happen 3 years later in the game story. So yeah, Misty, we can't really one-shot everything here yet, so we're going to set up 1 X attack here, and that's going to guarantee a one-shot on everything. He's going to go for a Psychic, but let's be fair here, that damage is not threatening at all. 21 HP damage. I'll take it. We are starting to run out of return PP here, but we're going to pick up a max ether pretty soon. So before we're actually going to need that additional PP, we'll have the max ether, and we can get all of the PP back again. There's one more that we have to use after this fight, and one more if we that we can do if we have good attack. And I think I have exactly the PP for that too. Yeah, 2 left, so that works out perfectly.
The bane of early Pokemon Red speedruns.
Yeah, luckily now that Pokemon Red has RNG, Misty is a lot more free. So that's 3 badges down, and from here on we're kind of just gonna get a rush from gym to gym. We've pretty much beaten every optional or every like regular trainer that we need to, except for some that are in gyms. And we're just gonna start making our way towards all of the badges. One thing we need to do on the side first is we need to bring back this generator. What am I doing? I need to teleport. This is why I wasn't allowed to use any centers up to this point. We repel, we teleport, and we can get back into the power plant without having to do Rock Tunnel a second time. Saves a good couple minutes. Now, as we deliver the machine part, he's gonna give us Zap Cannon as a reward. Unfortunately, it's a move with 50% accuracy, and then we can't even learn it, so it's completely useless. So his explanation doesn't really help us at all. That's not really the reason we needed to do that, though. Now that this is fixed, we can get the radio card for Kanto, which has the Poke Flute on it, which we cannot go without.
It's so sad.
For a second, yeah. Oh, there we go.
So yeah, that's the radio card we needed. Let's head on to the next gym. Let's do Search next. We're pretty much gonna make one giant circle around Kanto, crossing off every single gym leader we can along the way. The only one we can do right away is Blue, because we need the other 7 badges in order to activate his battle. So we need to fight one trainer here, and this one only has 2 Pokemon, so it's a pretty quick fight. I think we have to either kill this guy or the guy on the left. If I remember correctly, the guy on the left has 3 Pokemon. He's just got 2 Pikachus, so nothing to worry about here. Even though we're in a type disadvantage here, we just one-shot everything, so it's all good. At least we don't have to do cans anymore. Back in Red, you had to do the cans there. In Fire Red, they're even worse. Luckily we don't need to do that, and we can just move on to Surge. Now every single one of his Pokemon die to Surf, with the exception of the Electabuzz. So I'm gonna use Return on Electabuzz and Surf on everything else. There's the Electabuzz, just 2 Electrodes remaining, and that would be 3 gyms down. 5 more to go. And we only need to fight 1 more trainer that isn't a gym leader or red, which is in the next gym. So yeah, that was Lieutenant Surge. Not particularly difficult a gym. So here's our repel wearing out. So I'm gonna use another repel here. We used to do this with a super repel, which meant that if I took more than 4 missteps, the repel would wear out too early. But because we have the max repel, we've got like 50 steps of leniency. Makes this a pretty easy ride, honestly. So the Snorlax we're not going to care for, we're just going to run away. We're going to move on. We're going to make our way towards Pewter City, where we're going to be fighting Brock. This guy is a spinner in Crystal, but we can just avoid him like that in Gold. And with that, we're moving on to the last regular trainer of the game. This is where I'll be using my last return. Got 1 PP left, so that should work out nicely. So again, this is one of those pokes where had I had like mediocre stats, I would have gone for Ice Punch to guarantee a kill. But on the attack that I have, it's fine with just reusing Return, so I can save that text box again. And thus, we get to Brock. Now luckily we've got the type advantage here, so it becomes a pretty easy fight. I'm gonna surf the first 3 Pokemon, because he has the Kabutops and Omastar. The Omastar has a very small chance of using Protect, but it's incredibly rare. It's kind of annoying if he does end up using it, but I've only seen that twice. Oh, don't worry, Rowan. Feraligatr is gonna get his match real soon. Okay, that just leaves 1 poke, so we get the Rhyhorn. And then we're gonna move on towards Cinnabar Island so we can get to Blaine. So the reason we're doing, Jasmine, or Janine, sorry, Janine, the replacement for Koga. We're doing her last. We could have gone there earlier, but that would have meant I had to fight an additional trainer. So it works out really nicely doing them in this order. So we're gonna get a hidden max ether over here to restore our return PP.
Or Viridian Forest.
Yeah, there's not much left of Viridian Forest, to be honest.
They fixed it in the remake though.
Did they?
They did.
Ah, cool. I had no idea. Classic Route 1 theme. Feels good. Oh well, we're gonna keep moving, because we're on our way to Cinnabar Island. Now luckily the path to Cinnabar is pretty easy, just hold to the left and nothing will hit me. Now, Blaine isn't actually on Cinnabar Island. The volcano erupted and the entire island is destroyed with the exception of the Pokemon Center. And Blue came over to pay his respects, I suppose, so he's not really in a mood to fight us. But he will fight us if we can beat every other gym leader in Kanto. So I'm gonna take some additional movement here. There is one spinner down here, and we can completely avoid him by moving up like that. It's slightly faster than slightly slower than dodging the spinner, but we all know how hard dodging a spinner can be. So on average, this just ends up being faster. You better have a burn heal. Oh, we've
memes.
the memes indeed. Time for Blaine. So we're not going to surf all of his pokes. We're going to change to Return for the Magmar, because Return will kill Magmar, and we can save that text box again. And that's Blaine, because this Rapidash is guaranteed to die to surf. So Blaine down, that just leaves Janine and Blue, and then we can move on to Red. So we literally have 3 Pokemon fights left in the entire game. I'm gonna give you guys in chat a heads up, by the way. When we hit the final fight, which is gonna happen in like 6 minutes, I want to say, I want to see a Kevin Turtle spamming chat, because the last fight is actually a really dangerous one. I'm relying on the Pikachu to use Charm instead of Thunder. So we're gonna need Kevin Turtles for good luck. Just in advance, it's still gonna be a little bit longer before we get there, because we have 2 more gyms to do, but yeah, true. They actually made all the trainers look the same. But on the upside, you don't actually have to fight anything if you know which one it is.
True.
So, in that sense, I like this gym more, because it's, like, there's only 2, like, there's 2 trainers that you have to fight in Red, and you've got just the gym leader in this one, so, like, 0 regular trainers.
first time casually is just a pain.
Yeah, first time casually it's a pain, but for speedrunning it's amazing. So yeah, this only starts once the red fight starts, which is the final fight in the game. So we've got a little bit longer. So this fight is pretty easy, it's just 5 returns and we win. And then we're gonna move on towards blue.
Hopefully our tech guy is back by now. To get ready in time.
I sure hope so. Because somebody's gonna have to do time.
Yeah,
That'd be nice.
it would be really nice.
Plus the fact that, you know, this is the end of the marathon. I would appreciate, you know, at least all of the staff members being here.
Yeah, that would be kind of sad.
But because we got a really fast, good Totodile, and we didn't die anywhere except for Whitney once. The last fight on its own takes like 3 minutes, by the way, so... We've at least another, I want to say a little over 10 minutes left. So with that out of the way, we're moving on to the last gym in Kanto. We're gonna fight Blue, and Blue is a really interesting gym fight in that he actually has pretty much the party that he had at the end of Pokemon Red.
Yellow.
Is it the yellow party?
It's more or less, it looks a little bit more like, no wait, the red party, yes.
I was about to say.
Minus the starter.
Yeah, I was about to say, because he has Pidgeot instead of, what's his name? Sandslash, which he has in yellow. So I'm gonna have to use 2 X attacks here and an X speed. The X speed because our speed is as bad as it is. Had we had over 11 DV speed, I wouldn't have needed to use it here. But right now I wouldn't otherwise have outsped the Alakazam.
He's the only Kanto gym leader that could have beaten the Focus champion.
Yeah, well he kind of already did.
Yeah,
I
which
guess
he
he,
did.
I mean I guess he kind of opted to choose for gym leader. That Executor can be a range. On my attack it shouldn't have been to begin with, so I figured we just go for it. And take out the Alakazam just using strength. All these crits right now. Is either Jasper or Rule still here? Yeah?
Yeah.
Otherwise I can do it.
Ah, that's true.
Develop in the background video.
Well, I mean, the end of the marathon is coming up in like less than 10 minutes.
Less than 10 minutes, okay.
This is the before last fight. There's only one more trainer I need to do, and that's
Yeah,
red.
that's right.
Yep. Granted, the fight takes a couple minutes, but still.
I'll get the money starts.
Cool. So yeah, that was blue. We got kind of lucky. The Arcanine can do extreme speed, which wastes a bit of time. Other than that, this fight isn't too bad. So now that we have that out of the way, before we're going to go to Red, I'm gonna have to take a visit to Oak. So we're gonna drop by Oak real quick. Now Oak, he's gonna first of all tell us that, you know, normally people can't go to Mount Silver, but, you know, seeing as how strong we are, we should be able to. He's also gonna make note of how few Pokemon we've actually caught, and he's gonna recommend us looking in grassy areas. Because let's be fair, we definitely need to look in grassy areas. We need to catch more Pokemon.
Sometime later.
Yeah, we're not gonna care for that. That's the wrong poke. Good job. And off to red it is. Now we do still have one thing we need to pass, which could become a problem. We have to actually get through Mount Silver. Hopefully I won't get lost there.
It happened to some runner a while ago.
It's happened to pretty much every runner at some point. Okay, so I'm gonna need some serious time again. Come on. I was about to say. So yeah, guys, get your Kevin Turtle spam ready, because it's about time we started to see some spam. We're almost there. I'm gonna take a safety save before this fight, because this fight can be really scary. Basically, what we're gonna do is I need the Pikachu to use Charm, so that I can set up my X items. We're gonna use a guard spec to make sure the Charm doesn't actually do anything. And thus, we enter the final fight. Charm, that's good. I need to see a few more, though. Charm, still good.
Given Turtle.
Speed. This is a perfect red fight. The only thing that can be not perfect about this fight is the Snorlax. That's it. That is as good a red fight as one can expect.
That's how you do that.
So the Pikachu can use Thunder, and that gets me almost... that would almost kill me. A crit would actually have killed me. But because I get so low on health, he gets looped into using Thunder until he misses a Thunder. So it just keeps looping around. Not to mention, if he gets a...
Stop it!
if he gets 10 Thunders off, which has happened a few times, you just lose the fight because he loops into Thunderbolt, which is guaranteed to hit. Luckily, we got Charm a lot. So from here on, the fight is free. Time is as the last text box clears at the end of this fight, or just after this fight.
We're gonna hear the amazing.
Once you get the money, it should be the last text box.
Come again?
Money should be the last.
No. It's just outside of the fight.
Cards.
Okay, he used Amnesia, which is the perfect scenario, so we win the fight. At this point, the only thing that's still gonna matter is whether or not we're gonna get a critical on Blastoise or Charizard. That would save me a turn. It saves a couple seconds. There's no way that I can lose the fight anymore. It's just mash A to win, basically. Are we gonna hit level 64 at the end of the fight still? That kinda sucks. Loses a few seconds. Yeah, we're going to hit it. Oh well.
Too many spinners.
Yeah, we had too many spinners. Okay.
I think we've hit all spinners.
Get
and
ready
got
on
to
time,
actually-
Rule.
Actually, all one. Well,
Two.
if you count the one before the
Getting the burn, which means I'm going to switch over to Surf. Return should have still killed, because I got a very high roll.
Lucky
Okay.
burn.
Get ready. Time. Yeah, that was Pokemon Gold. And that was actually that's less than that's like 3.5 minutes off of my PB. So considering we died to Whitney, hit plenty of spinners, and had to reset for the Toto a few times, really solid run. Very happy with that. Seeing as how this is